TinFoilRealist, not theorist. We with the trauma doc again today. This has been fucking awesome. I love having him on the show. This has been great. Today's episode is pretty fucking exciting because this starts the marathon stream. But we got FTM Degen from SpiritSwap, and this is a big fucking deal because these guys have the most value locked on the Fantom network so far as a DApp, right?
So, not entirely. No.
No.
There are a few other protocols that have a larger amount of TVL locked.
Oh, do they?
I mean, there's reasons for that, but we've got some pretty exciting stuff cooking up at the moment. We've more been focused on building protocol and products that are going to offer the exchange longevity. So yeah, we've got some. Who knows? I might drop a little bit of alpha while we're in here, but we've got some pretty exciting things coming up. Yeah.
Right now it's fucking NFT phase.
Yeah.
So you guys have kind of a bunch of shit going on right now. I'm gonna share screen here. Because right now we know that FTM doesn't have a marketplace, and everybody's cheesed about that, and that's coming. So we're all super excited for the new one. But right now we're on Zoo, and I see you have an official collection on Zoo.
We do, man. Yeah. So essentially, what SpiritSwap are trying to do is, look, we realize the importance of NFTs in the marketplace. I mean, not only does it stimulate the economy as a whole, with liquidity and capital flowing through from other chains in order to obviously purchase the booming NFT market that's establishing itself on Fantom right now. We're obviously wanting to be a part of that. So, I mean, you've got a bunch of our collectible items there and things like that. We may have a plan to add more utility to these NFTs at a later stage, so you never know. Little bit of a hint there, but essentially what we're wanting to do, and our main focus, is actually almost providing a breeding ground or a hub for NFT artists to grow and flourish. So at the moment, as a part of that initiative, we've got our admin, one of my admins, Dr. Benz, who's actually managing all of our NFT projects at the moment. Essentially, we're wanting to collaborate and I guess give NFT artists the opportunity, the means, the resources to grow and really put themselves out on the Fantom blockchain. At the moment, we've obviously announced a few partnerships, but we've got a few more coming up with some very well-known NFT brands. And we're pretty excited to move forward with that initiative. So if there are any NFT artists out there that are looking for resources or room to grow, look, please feel free to get in touch with us because we're keen to help you out and help the ecosystem.
So how long? Yeah, that's big.
So how long has SpiritSwap actually been available to the public?
So we launched in May, so we're a relatively new DEX. I mean, if you look at I guess DeFi as a whole on the Fantom blockchain, it's a relatively new environment altogether. We sort of brought DeFi to Fantom chain through enabling, having a automated money market available for people to actually stimulate Fantom's economy. That being said, I mean, we can't take all the credit. Our counterparties over at SpiritSwap are doing a good job of that as well. So at the end of the day, look, I see it as a collaborative effort to bolster the Fantom ecosystem as much as possible and make room for as much growth as possible so we can start to port capital and liquidity over from other chains. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. You got Ethereum, which is super clunky at the moment. You have gas wars. I mean, don't even get me started on. You guys would understand. Trying to snap up NFTs, on the Ethereum chain, it's just not. It's not feasible. And then you've got Binance Smart Chain on the other end, which is a lot quicker and a lot cheaper. But there's issues with, say, centralization of how all of the nodes are on there as well.
Exactly.
So this is where I think Fantom really has a key position in the marketplace at the moment. Due to, I mean, we don't have a lot of nodes running, but the foundation just dropped the cap, the benchmark on how much Fantom is actually required for a validator to run nodes. So we're onboarding more and more nodes, as you speak. But in terms of the throughput and the scalability, that's where Fantom really has the edge on all other chains. I mean, you look at the most recent Phantom Rocks NFT drop that happened, and I mean, shit. The fact that they were snapped up within less than a second, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I had a poke at that, but I had no chance. The fact that they were snapped up in less than a second really shows the throughput that Phantom has to offer, you know, whereas if you had that happening on Ethereum, you'd have all kind of gas wars happening. You'd end up basically paying $30-$40 for a failed transaction on an NFT.
Oh, exactly.
So, I mean, not sitting here to really trash Ethereum. Ethereum has its place. It'll be interesting to see what happens once they update to 2.0, which I haven't been staying up to play with Ethereum development at the moment, but I'm not too sure how far away that is. But I feel like Phantom truly is a catalyst to flip these other chains, and that's why I'm so bullish on Phantom. Yeah, NFTs on Phantom is going to be big. I mean, I think Kyle, you've had a chance to check out Arshin, haven't you? Arshin, what are we calling it?
Okay, I haven't got to play around with it yet. And okay, it's funny you say that because that's the first thing I thought was, oh, that's a bad start.
Yeah.
None of us know how to fucking say the name. I'm going with art. I'm going with Arshin.
Arshin, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, my accent's a little bit fucked, but
but like Arteon, like I don't know, sounds like some Halo shit.
Auction, is it like meant to be auction? Anyway, we'll have to work on that. But it's it's a pretty
good start.
It's a pretty cool platform. Though. I think you know, so long as there are features in there that either stays up to play with OpenSea or surpasses OpenSea in terms of you know, unique functions and qualities that is going to bring new opportunities to NFT artists. I mean, it would be a no-brainer for everybody to literally just port over to Phantom Chain. Yeah. I mean,
so I know you're as excited as I am about GameFight. I know. I think it's fucking incredible that you guys are kind of working out as trying to help kind of be a launch pad for NFT artists and developers. GameFi is personally where I see Phantom separate themselves from these other chains because I don't even understand the tech, but I know there's a lot of shit going on and a lot of transactions happening when you're trying to run a game. So I think yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, well, I think, yeah, I mean, this is really interesting, and this is where you start to sort of look into the, I guess, almost like crossover and overlap of various projects and protocols. You know, for example, you're talking GameFi here, but you've also got the NFT integration within GameFi as well, right? You know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of like a cool overlap and element to have. So, Farm God DAO, as an example. I mean, you're across this with Maxis. I think you said you were going to dive real deep into that rabbit hole the other day. Not too sure if you had a chance to read the docs yet, but this is crazy. So this dude's building like a metaverse, right? You know, on Phantom Chain, and essentially integrating decentralized finance and farming into a gaming mechanism that ultimately ends up producing yield-bearing NFTs. I mean, how fucking cool is that? Yield-bearing NFTs. I mean, what the fuck? and this is where, like, I mean, this is a concept that is. I think I read Max's blog maybe 2 months ago, and at first I was like, "What the actual fuck am I like? What am I reading? Like, this guy's fucking crazy." And as soon as I kept diving deeper and deeper and deeper, I was like, holy shit, this dude's on. I know. Like, this is really smart, you know, like I mean, essentially he's generating a whole ecosystem, a whole DeFi ecosystem, integrating that within a GameFi platform. And then ultimately, if you make the right moves, you get spat out this like fucking sandwich NFT. You know, the whole goal of the game is to create this sandwich from like nothing, and that sandwich NFT is yield bearing because of the whole DeFi ecosystem. So like, I mean, a too long didn't read of how it all works is essentially you stake single asset tokens throughout various farms that they operate. So let's say there's like a farm for shit, what is one? You've got acres, right? Okay, so you got these acres tokens, and you need these acres tokens as part of the game to then be able to put livestock on there. So you got animal tokens as well. So you got to combine these animal tokens with acres tokens, and then you yourself a farm, so you're able to start farming animals. And so that animal ultimately will, go to the butcher processes it, turns it into deli meat, and there's one component of the sandwich, right? So you got like dairy and eggs and fucking wheat and all of this shit. And so
straight
all of
to the
these
slaughterhouse.
Exactly, that's it. But you've got all these various tokens, right, which are stimulating that ecosystem. So I go and deposit. I'm pretty sure I think it's for the Yomapu farm, which is like I think it's going to end up being like a flavor enhancer or something like that for creating these sandwiches. But you go and stake Spirit, right, which is a single asset token. You get spat out all of these other tokens that you need to actually get involved in GameFight system. But on the back end, those Spirit tokens that I've staked, and there's obviously DAI and everything else as well. That's then put into yield optimizing vaults, whereby they're actually generating their own income from that. So that then goes and sits in like a reward pool, I suppose, and that's where all of the yield bearing distribution is going to happen for anyone who's actually holding those NFTs. I'm baffling. I'm babbling a little bit here, but I mean, it's something that I'm so excited about because it's kind of like it's a concept that I wouldn't have even thought of, 2 months ago until I read this. And I think, that this is a good segue into another aspect of NFTs as a whole. And I think we're only really starting to scratch the surface of where NFTs are going to lead us. You know what I mean? It's kind of like crypto 2.0 back in 2010 when things were just sort of starting to pitch. Who would have thought that this is where we would get to 10, 12 years down the track? And same thing with like the internet 2.0. When the internet first sort of came out, nobody saw any applications beyond sort of email and being able to send a message to one another. I mean, now here we are communicating. I'm chatting with you. I'm all the way over on the other side of the world, and nobody really would have had a grasp on the concept of even video calls back then. So same thing applies to NFTs. I just think it's super exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of culture, what kind of environment, what kind of development can sort of start to evolve on the Fantom blockchain.
So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I was going to say, so with like the NFTs and everything, and since someone who has obviously developed an amazing platform, especially off of Fantom and understanding NFTs a bit more, has one ever thought about, because I'm hearing like games and like this and that, so with say NFTs, what if, let's say, it was kind of like a pyramid in a way? It was kind of like a pyramid.
That's a good start.
And like you work your way up. Like honestly, I mean, you work your way up. Is there any such thing to say like, if you buy, trade, acquire, whatever, exchange, like 3 or 4 or 5, whatever the amount is on say tier 1, then you unlock, like you can trade those in a way to get a level 2 card, and then replenish those 3 cards and kind of keep it like going up to build a higher value of say a card or something at the top of this pyramid. Does that exist already, or?
I actually, you know what? I actually think it is. It does.
Oh.
So I've got this guy messaging me at the moment, a prospective NFT artist. I mean, some of his stuff is on Zoo, but I don't.
This man's building greatness, and I fucking love it. I love talking to you every time because you got something new going on. It's great.
In the know, man. I mean, it's my job. I got eyes and ears everywhere. Yeah, look, I mean, there is a project at the moment that sounds like that's what they're doing.
Okay.
I'm yet to gather more information from the developer. He's sort of asking me to give him a little bit of exposure at the moment. I always like to really properly vet things before I give them the exposure, and the documentation just isn't there at the moment. I've bought a couple of his NFTs just to sort of help support him and give him some funds to get the project off the ground. I think it is real interesting, but yeah, if you like, I'll share that with you sort of behind the scenes off stream, because again, I just don't want to go
Right. Yeah. Totally understand.
Endorsing anything that
I was just curious if there was something
yeah,
in there.
no, definitely. I mean,
What are you scooping up behind the scenes here?
I mean, look, yeah, it's definitely something that is available on Fantom at the moment. So I mean, I'll flip you guys some alpha behind the scenes, and yeah, I to be honest, I really like the designs of these NFTs. They're pretty cool, and I'm really interested to see where that particular project is going to lead to. But I'm also really excited to actually read the documentation when the developer has that available. Yeah. But I mean, there's so much, I mean, you've got music NFTs, you've got yield-bearing NFTs, which I really like the concept of, and then there's also this idea that I'm toying around with, which is, reward-bearing NFTs. So having unlockable content within the NFT that actually rewards the user or the purchaser in a completely different way. I mean, there's so many ways to skin this cat and to keep things, keep things fresh, keep things, exciting in the NFT marketplace. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of features Archeon ends up actually launching with, to see what kind of control they're going to offer these artists, what kind of usability they're going to offer these artists. So yeah, I'm super excited for it.
Well, I like that you're thinking about the utility of NFTs already, because that is a big thing. I mean, the 10K avatar generative projects can only go so far.
Yep.
Even you could even argue that just pure art can only go so far.
Well,
at the same time,
at the same time.
Go ahead.
I think we have a little lag here, bro. I'm going to stop talking over you. I'm sorry, man.
No, it's all good. No. Yeah. So I mean, I'm also just rethinking my statement on the whole art project, because a lot of things, like, we still haven't even found ways to display these properly. So this is how early we are in the whole even just digital art aspect. But I know the gaming thing is that's huge, and that's gonna be a big part of leading to the mass adoption in crypto. With your Spirit NFTs that we got on Zoo, is there any kind of utility plan for them, or are we kind of still in the collectible aspect right now?
This is definitely something that we're exploring at the moment, and I mean, the best part about this is, you can apply utility to anything really, I suppose, but it's how you want to go about applying that utility. So, I mean, at the moment, our main priority and our main goal, a lot of our human resources are focused on, for now, updating UI for our recently deployed Inspirit. And then right away from there, we're going to be moving on with the UI for Soul Credit, which is our V2. So actually really focusing on honing in on the DeFi products that we're offering at the moment is our main priority. Then after that, sort of in between that, we can relook at sort of looking at how we can apply utility to the SpiritSwap NFTs, because that's a road that I really want to go down. At this point in time, they are collectibles, but I mean, off-chain we could apply utility to them further down the track. Obviously, the whole point behind a non-fungible token is the fact that it's non-fungible, and so you can't change it. But there are ways that we could apply utility to these further down the track, either by, say, anyone who holds these NFTs at the time when we decide to add further utility to our other NFTs moving forward, will be an automatic candidate to be rewarded, for them obviously being early purchasers of our NFTs. So, I mean, these are all things that we're playing with at the moment, but I can't give any sort of concrete overview on where that's going to lead at this stage. But I like the idea of, depending on if Archeon actually go ahead with offering unlockable content on their platform. So when you buy an NFT, only you holding that NFT will then have the ability to unlock the content within that NFT. I like that as an inroad for us to be able to provide, I guess, a reward-based system for early adopters and early supporters of our NFT collectibles. Yeah.
And so, do you guys do tokenomics? Because I'm seeing Total burnt all this. Do you guys do something similar to, say, Safemoon with the tokenomics?
The tokenomics of what? Sorry, mate.
So basically, where if you hold, say, hold assets of, say, I don't know, 1 million Spirit per se, and does it generate coins on its own?
Oh, right. Okay. I see what you mean.
Sorry.
You're asking about the Spirit ecosystem. No, that's cool, man. That's okay. No, fine. Yeah. So, I mean, how this worked. So I mean, that's a good point. I appreciate you asking that. That's a good pivot into sort of, I guess, exploring InSpirit, which we've recently launched.
Yeah, I haven't really used your platform very much as well. So this is I do want to hear about this.
Yeah, cool. So I mean, look, at the moment we're currently making explainer videos to sort of help people get a better grasp and a better concept of how InSpirit works. As well as the fact that we're going to be doing an AMA at some point. I'm hoping next week. I'm just checking with the availability of the team at the moment and just sort of trying to work in with their schedules because we're super busy, just most the grindstone building. But we do see the importance of making sure that the community understand exactly how to utilize the products that we're pushing out to the marketplace. And look, we realize that there are a lot of DeFi users that are new to this environment, that this is all new to them. So our main focus is to, at this stage, try and get some exposure out there and sort of answer these people's questions who are sort of struggling with this. But I digress. To give you some context here, how SpiritSwap, I don't want to say, it is V1. We're sort of like V1.5 at the moment, with InSpirit sort of coming into play.
Yeah.
But how SpiritSwap originally worked, just like any normal farming AMM platform, you would obviously have our token. So our token is a reward, I guess, for providing liquidity to our exchange. Our exchange needs liquidity in order to have volume, and volume is ultimately how fees are generated from the exchange, right? So essentially, by staking liquidity with us, you're not only rewarded in terms of fees that the trading fee pools generate, so you're rewarded for those. So every time you put a transaction through, you sort of see this transaction is going to cost you, 0.6 Fantom or whatever you're trading. And so you provide liquidity to our exchange. You are then in return. So let's say you provide Fantom and US dollar coin, right, USDC. In the process of actually providing liquidity to our exchange, you then receive liquidity pool tokens as a result. So think of this as like a receipt. Hey, you've just gone and provided $100 worth of Fantom, $100 worth of US dollar coin. Here's a receipt for you to say that you have ownership over these tokens. You then take that receipt, and as an added bonus, I suppose, and essentially it's a way of protecting people against impairment loss. You then go and stake those tokens, those liquidity pool tokens, on our farms, and our farms then generate a reward, an additional reward for you, to essentially make it worth your while investing in our exchange and adding liquidity to our exchange, right? So, and those reward tokens are Spirit. And so Spirit has a utility against it, which is governance over voting on how our gauges, we originally called these boosted farms gauges, but we kind of felt that confused people a little bit. So we're calling them boosted farms now. That they essentially give you, and you can see that there, just on the screen that you're on. Exactly, yeah. So through having this InSpirit, you're actually then given the ability to vote on how much rewards are distributed across various boosted farms. So at the moment, we've only started off with 3 boosted farms, which are sort of like the 3 main core pairs that are traded on our exchange, just to keep things simple for people to start with. We don't want to inundate them with too much information at this time. Yeah, but essentially that is the utility behind that token at the moment. So how it goes is you get your Spirit, you then stake your Spirit in Spirit, so you're locking your Spirit up for a certain amount of delegated time. In doing that, you've got reward number 1, which is any fees that our exchange generate are then put into a pool, and then that pool is then shared out amongst InSpirit stakers. So essentially, think of it as like, I can't say this because I think there would be possibly legal issues, but think of it as having shares in a company and then having dividends paid on those shares, right? Think of it as like that. It's not that, but think of it as like that. So essentially, think of InSpirit as almost like shares in our exchange, and you get paid a reward of all of the fees that the exchange collects for being a holder of that in-spirit. Further to that, the in-spirit then gives you voting rights, like I said. So this is case number 2, voting rights on how you want to actually balance out and weight how the pools are rewarded. So if you go up at the moment, I think you can see on that pie chart up the top there, Spirit Fantom liquidity pool has the highest amount of rate. It's looking like it's 92%. So each week, users will be able to vote on rebalancing out those distribution pools, which will ultimately determine how much additional rewards you can expect to earn. And then the
decentralized bank, holy fuck.
So, so I got a stupid question to ask. And it's about the in-spirit I'm looking at here. So the average unlock time in days, is this basically saying that the majority of people who have locked in spirit into in-spirit have done it for, what is this, like 2 years, going on 2 years? Or...
Yeah, 2 years pretty much. Yeah, exactly. So that's the average unlock time.
Wow.
So how in-spirit works is, think of it as like a countdown clock. And this is I really appreciate you actually asking this question, because I would have probably overlooked this, but it seems to be a point of confusion for people. I get asked this question every day. When you lock in-spirit, and it's not a liquid token. It's not meant to be traded. It's purely, again, it's like another receipt to say that, you know, this is what you've done with us, and this is what we, I guess, or this is the share that you have in this whole ecosystem, right? And so what actually happens is you delegate your spirit to be locked up for a certain amount of time, and in return you're given in-spirit. Now, that in-spirit inherently, by design, will actually decrease over time. So I get a lot of people sort of freaking out, sort of saying to me like, whoa, shit, man, I had like, 20K in-spirit the other day, and now it's down to 19.5. What's going on? Why is this deflationary? Think of it as like a countdown clock to unlocking your spirit that you have delegated. Like, think of it as that way. And so obviously, as that time diminishes, the in-spirit voting power diminishes as well, and the in-spirit reward power diminishes as well. So it's kind of like an incentive to continue locking up more spirit, which ultimately creates scarcity within the marketplace and helps prop up the price.
Right.
That's kind of like how the whole ecosystem works.
So this next distribution says it's the 2nd of September of this year. What's the difference between next distribution and the next distribution block? Or
essentially, it's the same thing. Next
Okay.
distribution block simply gives you a accurate countdown to when that block in the
okay,
chain.
so this just isn't like updated or synced. Okay,
Yeah, exactly. Like a more detailed
Gotcha.
UI. Yeah. So at the moment, where a lot of people are struggling with as well is, and this sort of, I guess, touches on the third utility point of in-spirit, which is boosted farm rewards. Okay, so the more in-spirit you hold in proportionate with the amount of liquidity you have in a certain liquidity pool, you'll get a boosted reward, right? So at the moment, if you go to if you actually go to the boosted farms tab on there, which is just above the in-spirit tab, you have to go back to the main page.
okay.
Yes.
Boosted
Yeah,
farms,
if you go to
okay.
boosted farms, yeah, right. So within here, you'll see that Spirit Fantom liquidity pool is sort of varying between 29% to 73% APR, right? And the reason for that variation is it ultimately depends on how much in-spirit you hold. Now, bear in mind, these APR ranges at the moment aren't actually accurate to what they need to be, and the reason for that is how the in-spirit distribution model works for these boosted farms. Whereas in the past, our Master Chef contract would literally just distribute out rewards to people automatically, right? But because of a delegated lock time and essentially our reward pools being rewarded weekly, what actually has to happen is there has to be a priming effect. So essentially the Master Chef contract will then sort of siphon funds into a separate pool, which is then used to reward people, right? So at the moment, because we've only recently launched this product, these pools aren't fully charged yet. Think of it as sort of
Gotcha.
like the gas tank's half full. So you're probably going to see these APRs almost double within the next week or two once these pools are actually fully charged.
Slight alpha, no big deal.
Well, I mean, it's not even really like that's not even. I mean, yeah, I guess it is for a lot of people, but I mean, it was never hidden. You know, I mean, that's just how the mechanics of it work. And so, yeah, I mean, I think people are going to be really, really stoked with the kind of rewards that are going to be generated through this Inspirit protocol. And I mean, if you guys think this is cool, then I mean, B2 and Soul Credit is just something else. Like that's just our DeFi. I honestly think that we have some of the best DeFi minds in the marketplace at the moment. I mean, giving Heesh a shout out here. Happy birthday for yesterday, buddy. He is a genius. Like that man is insanely smart, and the kind of concepts that he's working up. I mean the team as a whole. You know, we all sort of spitball ideas and bounce balls around, and the kind of ideas that we're cooking up at the moment, I feel, are a catalyst to change the face of DeFi as a whole. I honestly do. What I'm seeing us developing is something that has not been done before in DeFi. And I mean, look, DeFi is a relatively, new space and new concept and all of that. But I mean, it's just so cool to see so many concepts coming to reality. Yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is what I don't get, because I personally find that if I'm focusing on DeFi, I'm lost in the NFT space. You seem to be able to manage to do both right now. I see you grabbing up NFTs all the time right now. What got you into crypto? What was your journey into crypto?
Yeah, you know what? This is like a I look back in time and I kick myself, So backtrack 2009, me and my buddy were like, we had a massive night out on the town and we're fucking just hanging out on the couch hungover, and my mate's on Reddit and he goes, bro, look at this shit, this is like, he had the original white paper for Bitcoin back then, he's reading.
Oh my gosh.
This is like pre-pizza guy paying, 19,000 Bitcoin for a fucking pizza, this is
right.
Way back. And so we read this white paper and we're like, look, this is a pretty cool concept, like how do we get into this? And at the time, there just wasn't enough info out there to really, I guess, help people get on board. I mean, I look back now, and I mean, there was a fucking faucet. There was a Bitcoin faucet where you could literally go tap into this faucet, and you get 5 Bitcoin for free back in the day. I mean, fuck. If I had a time machine,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
motherfucker.
Oh.
But I mean. So we're sitting there reading this, and we can't figure out how to like make the wallets work. And I mean, this is like how people are probably viewing DeFi at the moment. Trying to figure out how this fucking thing works. And so fast forward, maybe I think it was like 2013. We did nothing with it. I mean, we're hungover as shit that day. We gave it a little stab, and we're like, nah, fuck it, let's play some COD. But essentially, fast forward to 2013, Bitcoin starts blowing up, and I've got a little bit of capital at this stage, and so I'm thinking, right, this is something I want to invest in. What do? I go piss it off the wall and go on my OE. Fast forward to 2016, and shit's getting real serious. Bitcoin's at like $1,000 at that point or whatever, and that's when I'm just like, I'm a fucking idiot. Had I put that 20K capital that I had and went and pissed up the wall doing my OE, which no regrets. I mean, that was fun, but I'd probably be retired by now.
Yeah, right. So and at this time, you're still just Bitcoin, right?
Well, that's it. Yeah. So 2016, that's when I sort of like bought into Bitcoin and started fucking around with altcoins and things like that. I think.
Oh, you got into the altcoins right away.
Yeah, I did. I think really immersing yourself and having a play around is the best way to discover the ecosystem. But then again, only playing with what you're willing to lose. You know what I mean? Like that's always a good strategy. None of this is financial advice, by the way. I literally have DGen in my name, so don't fucking listen to me. If you follow a guy called DGen on a live stream, then wow.
And TinFoilRealist.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, no, seriously, so
And trauma, for fuck's sakes.
trauma. Yeah.
I just gotta say,
DGen
socks.
trauma pinpoint.
Do you have your socks on? I gotta ask this. Do you have your socks on?
I'll tell you what, man. I haven't actually.
SpiritSwap?
I've literally just bought a pair. So I got my initial merch sent to me. I think it was about 2 months ago. We're in lockdown at the moment and shit. So we've got.
Oh, you're.
Yeah. But
marketing department needs to do more to promote merch because I did not know you guys even had merch.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh shit.
They got mouse pads, mugs,
Yeah.
shirts. Hey, you can get a tank top tinfoil.
Fuck. Dude, I need a SpiritSwap fucking mouse pad.
Tell you what, man. I'll send you a discount code, and if you guys want to buy some merch, then we'll give it to you at cost. No worries.
Aha, look at that.
But yeah, no, we're going to be adding to this. Our merch guy is currently looking at new options to sort of really populate out the merch store. We're actually seeing a lot of interest for that. If anyone does want to get their hands on some merch, by the way, and don't really want to have to pay for it, an alternative route you can take is if you actually sign up to our Spirit of the Month initiative, which you can check out more info about that in our Medium articles. We actually give away merch pretty much every Spirit of the Month drop that we do to our Spirit of the Month holders. So have a look into that. Yeah.
Could I suggest something real quick?
Yeah, man.
So if I'm just someone that's super big in crypto and trying to get away from the almighty dollar, I don't have an option to buy an FTM or Spirit on this store.
You want to on-ramp?
Right, basically like some sort of like transaction payment provider, some sort of plugin or something, so you guys can accept Spirit or FTM or something like that.
That's a very, very good recommendation, and we are in the process of actually porting that in. Yeah, so I mean, nice. our store is through Shopify, so there's a couple.
I got you. Yeah, no, I got you entirely.
There's a couple of steps to that. It's a little bit more complicated than just plugging in a plugin.
It is. I did Dogecoin, and when I had my show merch, people refused to, like, if they were gonna buy it, they wanted it in Doge. They did not want anything else because they're like, well, we're supposed to be using what we, promote this, so no, I know how Shopify is. Shopify is not that big on crypto. They're like,
well, they do offer plugins, but the
do they now?
Yeah, well, they do. The plugins aren't the issue. I mean, they offer 5 separate plugins. I'm actually
wow.
I'm quite au fait with this because I've been exploring this week. This is like part of my operations, the sort of things that I do. But so what we actually need is the plugin operator to accept Fantom. So the plugin operator accepts, all of your sort of top tier cryptos. I mean, Fantom to me is a top tier crypto. It should be on that list. So I've actually pinged some of the guys from Fantom Foundation to actually try and fill out a document that will allow for Fantom to be added to these third-party plugins. So once they're added to that third-party plugin, we just need to install that plugin on our Shopify store, and boom, we can be accepting Fantom and other cryptocurrencies as payment for the merch. So that's definitely something that we're working on at the moment.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing because Uman just dropped merch, and same thing, have to buy in dollars, and I was like, what the fuck? We're trying to get away from dollars.
Tell her if she's on Spotify, there are Spotify. Oh my god, Shopify. There are plugins that she can add to the website quite easily, and she can accept. I mean, it wouldn't be Fantom at this stage, but she can accept all other cryptos. So I mean, I think for anybody in the crypto space, it's good to support that economy as well. You know what I mean? It's good to support the crypto economy at large. So if you can, integrate with a crypto payment platform, I mean,
you should.
I'd implore everybody to try and do that.
Well, yeah, because if Shopify is seeing massive fucking volume coming in crypto, that's a big signal for other companies to.
Well, that's it. Exactly. Yeah.
And then the more people that accept crypto, the more value it gives crypto. And then fuck the system, dude.
Well, that's what we're all here for, right? I think for me, it's just about empowering people. I see crypto as a catalyst to separate finance from state. You know, I think people should be more control of their own finances. I mean, you know, again, not to get too political with this, but you've got these governments starting to release these digital currencies, the yuan, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I can't actually attest to sources here. I do remember reading this and what I would say as a valid resource. But just take this with a pinch of salt. But I believe some of the mechanisms built into these digital currencies that are government backed at the moment, they've almost got these inherent inflation deflation processes going into them. So I mean, this is getting quite sort of Orwellian, but I mean, imagine getting a push notification on your phone to be like, hey, we need to stimulate spending. So rather than printing more money, or going through quantitative easing or increasing and decreasing interest rates in order to achieve this, that sort of process takes too long for the flow-on effect to take place. So fuck it, we're just going to press a button now that says, hey, motherfuckers, you guys have 1 week to spend 50% of what you've got in your bank account, because that 50% is going to be worth nothing by the end of the week. You know, I mean, how fucking scary is that? And so I'm not saying that's happening at large at the moment, but I mean, it is in the realm of possibilities. So I see crypto as a good hedge for people to be able to have more control over their own finances. That's, I mean, for me, that's of the utmost importance. People having control over their money is just so important. And I don't think a lot of people realize it.
You know, it's funny because when I'm on a job site, it's the most diverse. I honestly believe being on a job site is the most diverse job on the planet, because you get guys from Mexico, Cuba, fucking Israel, Iran, you name it. We have guys on a job site that are from these areas. And when I explain Bitcoin to them, or anything about crypto, when I explain that to them, the idea of separating money from state, because that's how I look at it as well, they get it immediately. You try to explain that to somebody that's like a generational Canadian or American or from one of these like very well developed countries that haven't been through the shit with the dollar lately.
Yeah,
they are the last ones to kind of to grasp the idea of it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for these people in a way that it all comes to. I mean, ultimately everything comes down to education, right? And I mean, you and I had this talk when we had our video call earlier on in the weekend, and I just feel like how the current system is geared is to control education in a portion, I suppose. Getting people just to, I guess, not really ask questions and not try and be open-minded and look at alternative options to things. It's a very sort of black and white mentality out there, especially with the more generational people. I mean, you can't blame them. That's just how they've been taught. We say jump, you jump. So essentially, I think it ultimately stems to making sure that there is the right amount of information out there and available for people to fully grasp and understand the opportunities that cryptocurrency at large have to offer. And also those people, having an open mind as well. I mean, that's ultimately, an important part of the process. But yeah, shit. We're navigating through some really interesting times at the moment. I think, historically we're at a pivotal point of a very sharp shift in how finance is controlled, how finance is operated, and how people go about managing that. Yeah,
that's my one kind of like, I don't want to say issue with Fantom, but it's a bullish case for the price of Fantom, but to work with CBDCs. As much as I don't want CBDCs, the other part of me is torn because CBDCs means if you're already holding, number go up. It is going to get interesting when it comes to money, because it does feel. TraumaDoc kind of shared a thing with me the other day about the UK kind of trying to make anonymous wallets banned.
Anonymous wallets back. Well,
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Shed some context on this, please. Trauma, jump in here.
So basically, in July, what happened is basically the UK, EU, what they want to do is, let's say if a business sells items online or whatever and accepts crypto, they want them to jot down the sending address from the person and include any details about the order and about the person, where it's being shipped to, IP addresses, anything, email addresses, and put it in a database that is being kept by the United Kingdom government. And if a business refuses to do that, they can technically jail and imprison the business owner and basically anyone involved in it if they refuse to comply with that.
Bullish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They want to take away all the decentralization and make it centralized. And if I recall, I think the UK has a case right now where they're forcing someone to give them the password to a wallet, a Bitcoin wallet, and they're actually trying to get a court order to have the Bitcoin developers basically unlock that wallet for them to get the coins.
Which what's that sort of in reference to? So I mean, is that a business owner who is it like a criminal?
They think it was involved in some sort of online criminal activity. They won't discuss it, but they just want into the wallet is all they want.
I mean that's I've actually heard of a few cases of that happening here in my country as well. Court orders to try and gain access to the keys. I mean, shit. Ultimately, it comes down to that person who's got the court order against them. Do you want to do the time, or do you want to obtain those?
Bring that rent out, baby.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I suppose court orders and subpoenas and things like that are really the only way that governments can have some form of control over how digital currencies operate. I mean, at the end of the day, people have this sort of concept and mindset that Bitcoin, especially, is untrackable and untraceable, which is just not the case. I mean that shit can be tracked relatively easily. It's on the blockchain. It's all open source for the public to see. You've got various privacy tokens out there, again, which I think a lot of them have been cracked by governments also. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's not so much about sort of keeping things private. It's more just retaining ownership of your purchasing power against the depreciating dollar.
Did you just say I shouldn't be holding Monero?
I actually, I think I read something similar. This was a while back as well. That I think it was maybe, I don't know, some US government department has found a way to trace Monero transactions, I believe. You might want to do some reading. Yeah. Don't quote me on that, but I remember quite a few years back. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's Fantom's got their own one. I think it's a Shade Cash.
Oh yeah, right. You're right.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried that. I'd like to, just for shits and gigs, just to see how it works out. I haven't done enough reading into sort of the mechanics behind it, how it actually works, but I think it sort of works whereby it's distributed into some kind of pool, which then is distributed out to other pools, which is then distributed out to other pools. And I think the longer you sort of lock your Fantom up into those pools, the more secure your ultimate transaction is at the end of the day. Needs to do more reading into that. It's all very interesting, eh? There's so many projects out there that are emerging on Fantom, and there's just not enough time to read them all. I need to clone myself.
Yeah, right.
So, and I already know the answer to this. I just want to, my journalism is coming through. So, do you think that Fantom and FTM, do you think that within Fantom and the whole DeFi project, it could be a direct competitor to Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum?
Absolutely. In terms of Ethereum, I mean, look, Ethereum, I think, will always be there. And the reason being is they've got first to market advantage, as anyone does. People are super familiar with them. Despite the insane gas fees, people still use it. I mean, I don't know how people use it. I think there's just not enough awareness about Fantom, because if people were just given the opportunity to try Fantom, like it's a no-brainer. Like as soon as I tried Fantom, I was just like, all my ETH is gone. And I've kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit here. You know this, Kyle, because I mean, I can't buy super cool NFTs that OpenSea have to offer at the moment.
Yeah.
To literally bridge some Ethereum over from Fantom the other day just so I could buy a couple of Umans, you know, because I love it. I love that shit. But I mean,
Human hash rate coming soon. I'm so fucking.
Oh, dude, I saw that. I'm guessing you were playing that one, the little cross collab. Yeah, I know you did, man. I love it. But essentially, sorry, I digress. Back to your question there, Trauma. I see Fantom almost complementing Ethereum as like a side chain, you know, a way to do all of Ethereum's heavy lifting, purely for the fact that I don't see Ethereum going anywhere.
Right.
I mean, I would love for them to go somewhere and Fantom to flip them ultimately. But in terms of reality, right. I don't know. I don't see that happening at this stage. But that's fine if we want to operate as a support chain to Ethereum. I mean, that definitely gives us a use case and a space within the whole crypto ecosystem. Binance Smart Chain, on the other hand, yes, I definitely see us as a catalyst to flip that. Purely for the fact that I do believe their whole node process is quite centralized in the sense that I think CZ actually controls and runs most, if not all, of the nodes on that network. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, Binance have that advantage of the fact that they're a big brand. People are familiar with them, and therefore they'll use Binance Smart Chain. In terms of throughput and affordability, they are on par, you know, with Fantom. I think Fantom is quite a little bit, maybe quite a bit cheaper than BSC, but I mean, BSC's fees are still negligible, like 10 cents for a transaction in comparison to ETH is like $30 per transaction. Is, you know, is quite a big difference. But yeah, so yeah, Ethereum I see us working alongside in terms of Fantom, and then Binance Smart Chain. I definitely feel like they're a catalyst for a flip there. I mean, you look at what happened. When was it? It was right around when Spirit was actually first launching. I think we're like maybe 2 or 3 weeks in, and people were desperately trying to get liquidity on our exchange because we were like booming at the time, you know. And Binance kept playing these games of shutting down the withdrawal port, the withdrawal bridge for Fantom, and I mean, they would literally shut it down for 3 days, and people are super pissed.
Dude, that got so big, there was a meme coin created called CZ Tears.
CZ Tears. Exactly.
Well,
That's it.
When Safemoon really started pumping as well, I remember we were, I think we were like a week or two into Safemoon, and you know, we had 80,000 people in our Discord over at Safemoon, and Binance shut down all the nodes because they're like, we can't handle it, and it literally tanked Safemoon, you know, like Safemoon was really popping, and then it crashed, you know, about 400% because CZ and them shut it down and blamed it on server load issues, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that big, you shouldn't be having server load issues, you know. I mean, I understand.
How about OpenSea?
But I find that that's a narrative hard to run with.
Yeah, that's a big thing with OpenSea right now, because I just read that they're making a fucking $1 billion a week in sales, doing crazy fucking volume, and they're sort of sucking balls.
That just goes to show where NFTs sit in the space at the moment, you know. And I mean, this is an interesting subject that I'd like to sort of segue to is, you know, NFTs, are they a massive fucking bubble and just a fad at the moment, or do they offer longevity? So
I'll tell you why. This is so, and you know what, G Money actually put out a thread that kind of was just like, okay, I'm glad that someone's on the same kind of mindset as me. As soon as Visa bought that punk, it was like, oh shit, this is how companies are gonna have to market. The idea is basically like, and this also comes from the BitGems. He was talking about, tokenizing the fucking AR space. Like you basically putting on AR glasses to then opt into a marketing world where all of the fucking place around you can be bought and marketed on. So instead of like, Coca-Cola setting drones in the sky to advertise, they would have to buy into this AR space, and you could opt in. You put on the glasses and there you are. Now you're in advertising land, but you get paid to put those glasses on. You get paid for your time.
That's interesting.
Yeah, an interesting concept to like not polluting the world. Like the idea of whatever that movie is where the guy puts on the glasses and all the advertisements just say obey, obey, obey. So the way I see it is companies have to are basically buy into this stuff. It's a chance to reach a community of 5,000, 10,000, whatever. Because the whole sentiment right now is that the corporations are the bad guys. This is a chance for them to buy into these tighter communities and advertise to these tighter communities. And when you think about a company that is marketing anyways, marketing's kind of like a black hole for money for these companies. Like you pay money and yeah, you get eyes, but you get eyes. That's it. Now with the whole NFT thing, you're buying into a company or into a community, getting the marketing, and now you have an asset on your balance sheet, which is a super interesting concept. I'd like to know what you think about this.
I like the idea of applying NFTs to a marketing utility. I mean, this is something that honestly I hadn't even thought of. And there you go, case in point. We're only really starting to scratch the surface of where the underlying utilities sort of sit within non-fungible tokens, So I like that. I do. And my personal opinion is, do I feel that there is Fantom having a nice pump?
Yeah, that's right. It's like, it's starting to go.
Are we moving markets right now, guys?
Maybe.
Yeah. Where were we? Utilities of NFTs. I mean, I think that a lot of the NFT space is bolstered at the moment through a lot of speculation on a lot of these sort of pixelated tokens and things like that. But I do think that the underlying utility of NFTs will be around for a long time. Don't get me wrong. I love some of the art that I'm buying. If you look at this, I've got like a massive blank wall here that I plan to literally just fill with all of my NFTs. It's kind of a cool concept I've been kicking around with. Have you heard of these? You can get these that print. Is it acrylic paint or whatever it's called? They're paint printers, pretty much. So essentially, you can upload a high-res JPEG and actually have this printer fucking print this NFT out on canvas for you, as if someone painted it.
This is what I mean. Like, it's this shit. I haven't even heard about this. That just makes me even more fucking bullish because everybody's talking about wanting a physical Uman.
Exactly.
And that's fucking sick. Yeah.
I mean, what she did with that was genius. It wasn't the first. J Money. I mean, that's why I really like NFTs.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a good dude. We're sort of close buddies. I talk with him at least every second day. And I mean, I really like the idea of having some form of tangible ownership over your NFT as well. Like almost as like a memento of your NFT. And so for me, yeah, I mean, that's what I sort of plan to do is, put like a little bit of a mural of NFTs on my wall back here. Other cool things that are coming out, I mean, to do with the NFT space. I mean, these have been around for a little while. It's the jewelry. So you can actually get like these fucking bling, like I'm talking.
I've seen something like that.
But then they've got these screens in them that you can then actually upload into, and it displays your NFT within the screen. I mean, that's fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about putting one of my Gantom stones on one of them.
That would be sick. Hell yeah. Yeah. And I mean, massive shout out to young CB as well. Again, I was the first mover on Gantom stones. I think I minted like some of the first 10 or 20 or whatever. But I mean, I love games. That whole concept of like having a UI put together, not a UI, an AI sort of generate these stones. And if you look at some of them, you got some really crazy ones in there, like the squares, the squares. And I quizzed young CB about this, and what it kind of is as you mint more stones, the AI kind of gets smarter and evolves and sort of, I guess, incorporates itself within its previous editions. Right. Essentially, you're getting all of these different designs coming out, and depending on at the time that you minted it, which edition it's sort of mixing itself with, be it the V1, V2, V3, V4. That's what sort of gives these stones their rarity properties and the unique shapes and colors and distortions and things like that.
Right.
I think that's a super cool project.
That is cool. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool projects on. Like, Phantoms has duels out now, which I mean, it's
what
interesting because so Phantoms are these little like ghost characters. There's a really interesting. They've got an interesting bonding curve to their minting process. So, like, just yesterday, I know it cost 87 Phantom to mint. When I was minting Phantoms, they were only 22. As of today, they're already over 100 FTM now.
Holy shit!
Now they've added duels, so you can actually battle your little Phantoms and make them level up and whatnot. But you also can kill Phantoms. So this is where things get really interesting in the whole like rarity aspect, because if people are dueling their rares and they're getting killed off, all of a sudden your rares might become a little more rare. So it becomes a really interesting aspect to like.
It becomes a gamble in a way,
I do need to kind of mint more of these things now.
You've actually just. I mean, and you saying that, you've just maybe. I think I'm going to go buy a bunch after the stream.
I know, like that's where I'm at.
That's a really cool concept, because not only are you adding utility and a really cool sort of GameFight utility to them, but you're almost adding like a deflationary mechanism to them as well, whereby if they die, they're gone.
The burn,
The burn, exactly. That's pretty cool. I'll admit, I actually did. I wasn't aware of them being able to be dueled. So I mean, that I think is a bit of a game changer.
Well, and even like, I mean, you should talk to them, because this could be something that Spirit could interact with them with. But you actually get a death token. So I can only imagine like where this could be incorporated.
Wait, is that where death? Because I saw it on Zoo. There's 2 death coins.
That might be it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's hashtag death and then regular death.
Yeah, so death. I think death is a separate. The other death is a separate coin, and that is being integrated into a full game. I've seen print screens from this game, and it's kind of like WoW meets PUBG meets COD. Like it's like a first person shooter, but there is like a realm of like DeFi ecosystem built into it as well. And I think that death token is going to be the currency, the in-game currency for that game. I think they're actually launching their alpha or beta on Steam pretty soon. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's the case. Yeah. So I mean, there's just so much happening and evolving in the space. It's just so exciting, and the best part is, it's all happening on Fantom.
Well, that's where things get real interesting, right? Like, it feels comfy being super early in this space. We got a lot of OG projects that are in the space, and then to the point now we're getting a lot of derivative copy pastas coming over.
Yeah.
Which again, I also don't think is a problem. I don't want them, but I also don't think it's a problem, because I think it adds more value to the OG projects. Investors need.
If there is a copy pasta sort of happening, I mean, it shows that there is bullish nature towards the original project. I think that's an interesting subject again to sort of touch on, because I mean, copywriting NFTs and things like that. You know what I mean? Where, you know, because this is such a new realm that we're exploring and navigating through, this is going to be the case where this happens. You know, I mean, it'll be pretty easy. In fact, you know, the Phantom Punks guy, I actually DM'd him last night. I was just scrolling through Zoo because I like to do after I finish my SpiritSwap stuff and I'm just sort of like chilling out, you know, having a bit of me time. I like to go and do a bit of art shopping on Zoo. And so I'm scrolling through Zoo and I see a Phantom Punk that
we're about to break resistance here.
I was gonna say it's starting to take off a little bit on its own.
Live stream. Yeah, I saw this Phantom Punk that didn't belong within its native category. Someone had essentially just gone and taken a print screen of one of the original Phantom Punks and then uploaded it trying to gank them, you know. And I straight away I messaged the Phantom Punks dev because him and I are talking at the moment, and he had no idea this had been done. I was like, dude, you need to push an announcement so people don't go buying this shit. You know what I mean? Because they know that's a huge issue. I would be super pissed if I went and spent, you know, like 3 million Zoo, a couple of grand, on buying a Phantom Punk NFT that I thought was legitimate, only to find out it's not a legitimate one. You know, it's just a copy pasta. You know, and so I mean, this is an interesting topic to explore as well. The whole point behind non-fungible tokens is the fact that they're not meant to be able to be copied, which, in theory, is correct. You know, like that the originals will always belong to that original series, but people who aren't, I guess, in the know, won't know to look or double check or do their own research and make sure that I am in fact buying an NFT from the original series, and therefore that's where the value lies. So I fear that a lot of people might get burned in that respect, and I'm kind of keen to see how the whole retention of intellectual property surrounding the artists' rights of these NFTs, how that's going to play out in the whole ecosystem.
I gotta take a leak. I'll be right back to continue this topic.
I mean, honestly, look how we have content, and there we go, a little bit down. So if you take a look, we have content ID matching on YouTube. Basically every platform that is content creation based, we have content ID. You know, look how Apple has for like child porn and all that. It scans metadata, it scans images, what looks alike. With the AI we have now, like Zoo, I mean, stuff gets held in they get held in on moderation for where they check, you know, legitimacy and all that. I think that they need to start integrating software that basically there's some sort of like authoritative way, like who posted this first, say on OpenSea or Rarible, and then if the content ID matches, it's automatically held for review and, you know, shows original, and then this to see if it is a copy or see if it's a look-alike, you know, it's not an actual copy.
That's fucking genius. Like that, and that's exactly what I think needs to happen to protect these artists. It's a great idea. And I mean, if that technology already exists, then we should definitely apply that towards these NFT marketplaces.
Oh, exactly.
That's a really good idea.
Yep, and then you just sync them all, you know. OpenSea communicates over API with content ID matches to basically anyone else, Rarible, you guys, Zoo, whoever the hell it is. And that way, there's basically some sort of governing authority, so that way it can say, hey, we had a match over here, we had a match over here, and all this. It's easy. I mean, it's easy for me to say that. I'm not a developer. I mean, I make websites and content. I'm not I don't do programming or anything like that, but I mean, content ID matching on NFTs I think could really turn out to be a good thing, because that'll add authenticity and really boost up prices.
I really like that. And I'm sure it's doable from a developer perspective. How much human resources and man hours would go into that, I can't say, but I definitely think that is something that we should be exploring. Not only to protect users, but also to protect the artists as well,
exactly.
and them having retention over their IP. Another interesting, I guess, you know, subject to touch on is
and what they
need. Carry on, please.
I was going to say, what they need to do is add some sort of like maybe like a little holographic QR code, something, so if it gets scanned, it goes to that transaction hash from when it was minted, and you can see where it is now.
That would be cool. Yeah. And I mean, J Money's already doing that with a lot of his NFTs.
Right.
The actual NFT itself has a QR code that is then automatically printed onto the sleeve of the shirt, and so you can tell that those two match up. That's a genuine NFT. So yeah, again, application of things like QR codes and integrating them within the NFTs to verify how genuine they are is another step in the right direction of protecting IP in that respect. Interesting space that we're navigating around at the moment, that's for sure.
The legal aspects, like this is where I kind of think like, it's all just gonna follow capital, right? So like right now you don't, if Beeple's stuff started getting copied out the ass and that person started making a fuck ton of money, there would be some legal aspects created, and then you would see some developers all of a sudden go, hey, wait, I can kind of make some money off of creating this tool that makes it super easy to, scan an image, like reverse image scans and shit like that.
Yep, the AI, I mean, my webcam is AI controlled, as you know. I mean, like, AI is getting absolutely insane with how it's coming along, and with the GPU power that we have, I mean, Ethereum aside, mining aside, graphics cards are no longer just graphics cards. They're complete rendering machines that can do mathematical calculations. They can do so much more than any CPU can do nowadays. And then you get looking at ASICs. I mean, basically the like NVIDIA, they came out with the K40s, the K80s. They're literally just giant graphics cards that are basically ASICs that go in a server just for processing power. They serve no use for graphics other than rendering, but in doing calculations. I mean, ASICs are massive machines, and I mean, they're, with the mining power and with the power of everyone in crypto, we blow NASA's supercomputer out of the water, We do. I mean, honestly.
It gets so interesting, right? Like, what I'm super intrigued to see is like just the way the amount of capital that's coming into crypto changes like society, in the sense of like, I don't want to see everybody going to school to get liberal arts degrees, to be doing gender studies. Guess what? There's now a massive industry that is starving for fucking developers. I see the guys from Masari, pick a protocol. There's job postings all the time about, we need a front end, we need a back end, we need a marketing manager, we need UI people. It doesn't matter. Like, and this is what I find so interesting about the NFT space in general. It's like, Uman shared during her, her roundtable with all of us that, like, as a super creative person, as an artist, you have to make money. So you have to go to some design job and do your 9 to 5. And, depending on where you're living and whatnot, there's that hour commute, 3 hours, whatever. Like, you don't have time to all of a sudden be this super creative person of the stuff that you want to do.
Right.
So, and now there's an avenue that you can do this stuff and get it out to anybody. You don't need to get into an auction house for somebody to be able to see your artwork. This is the stuff that, like, is changing the world. Like,
it is. I mean, it's global. It's like global outreach capacity, right? You know what I mean? I would have never discovered her artwork if it weren't for NFTs. I fucking love Uman.
Right.
I love everything about her artwork. As soon as I initially saw her, I think maybe I got onto them through you. Like, you were very, very early in getting into that shit, and I saw you posting some of the initial mints that she did, not even of the Umans, but of like the lore behind the Umans, the worlds, the giveaway, all of that. And I was just like, I mean, I'm a big fan of psychedelic and surrealism in terms of like an art theme, and seeing those originals that she did really gelled with me, and that's what really sort of drew my attention to the Umans, And so again, reverting back to this, it gives artists not only the opportunity to retain ownership and IP of their work, it's cutting out the middleman from taking a huge fucking cut out of what their profits would usually be, which again is just empowering the person more, which I'm all for. But it also offers that marketing inbuilt into it. You know, the fact that there is global outreach that's inherently built into how NFTs work as an ecosystem. You know, it's extremely powerful stuff. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for this Hash Freaks
Right.
collaboration.
Yeah, I know.
I'm super keen. Please tell me this happening on Fantom.
You know what? That one I'm not sure of. I made my plea. I know it's funny because these artists like
he's got the alpha.
no, it's just like these artists like. There's this thing about OpenSea. Like everybody just wants to launch on OpenSea.
It's because it's
there's
so
this like
much
FOMO over the capital over there, where there's like lack of long-term thinking in like, hey, wait, what if I'm like a really fucking good artist on a really fucking good blockchain that's really fucking early, and holy shit, when this, you know, does what it's gonna do, like I'm one of the OGs on that. Like, I'd probably be doing all right 30 years from now, you know?
Yeah.
So I honestly can't tell you what they're fucking launching on. I'm honestly not sure. I've made my plea.
Yeah. I'm in DMs with both of those devs, so I'm gonna really put. I mean, I know Umans is on board with Fantom. I recently purchased one of the Hash Freaks drops. I mean, you know, I sent it to you first. I actually asked him. I commissioned him for that one. I was like, dude,
that was sick. I've got one. Now that you told me that you did commission that, I made sure I got it. So I'm excited for
I mean, he is a cool artist, man. I'm gonna be snapping up as many of those as possible because they gel with me again. They timed that whole sort of psychedelic surrealist sort of theme, and they've got really interesting characters.
On this fucking topic, is I was real fucked up on mushrooms one night, and I went through the whole concept of like, okay, we know that like, you know, 90% of the workforce in the future is going to be automated. How do we get to that point? Because everybody's got to make money somehow. I'm kind of at that point now where like I think NFTs and like this new technology is like the way it's going to be, because you can't have a world where people aren't working or people aren't making money, because these robots are expensive. You know, it's not going to be your small businesses buying all these robots at the get. It's going to be the corporations and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're gonna be basically in some kind of like marketing war, and now we have an avenue where you can get paid to market in every aspect, whether it's play to earn GameFi, whether it's what BitGems do to saying about fucking tokenizing the whole AR space for a certain type of glasses that you get paid for wearing. Like now you've what's being developed right now is a technology that when we do reach that point where nobody has to work, and these companies are in some kind of marketing war, that you know, people are still making money, and because that was the concept, right? Like, how do you have a working society with fucking robots doing everything? You can't just have fucking homeless people everywhere, right?
Right.
Well, that's it. I mean, then you go down the route of like a UBI or whatever, and I mean, some people like that concept of a UBI. Me, I don't like being reliant on a government for income. I think that's a really slippery slope to them then retaining, again, ownership over your financial control. And, well, I mean, if you control someone's finance, you control their entire life, right? I mean, that's just how the system works. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. You know, like this is where, like you said, this kind of ecosystem that we're generating empowers people to take more control and almost future-proof their livelihoods. You know what I mean? Again, you know, as a hedge against full automation of the workforce.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna get interesting, right? Like, I'm so intrigued to see I think there's like a bit of a coming war coming when it comes to the central banks versus us deciding which money we want to have. Because, like, you know, if the UK is going to start making all anonymous wallets banned, and you know, a lot of the developed countries aren't making it easy to access crypto on and on ramps or on and off ramps. A lot of the third world countries where the people are struggling are starting to make it easy. So I think there is a coming battle on our hands with, you know, these governments know that they have to get these CBDC, like, we have to go digital. It only makes sense. The fact that, you know, a Western Union can close so somebody can't send their money across the world to their family, and it's 2021, is like, yeah, that can't happen.
No,
so
yeah,
it has to go digital. It's just this CBDC thing versus the decentralized stuff that we all like.
yeah. I mean, again, it's going to be an interesting space to navigate, you know, and what'll also be interesting is how global and world events also sort of tie in and have an impact on the trajectory of finance as a whole, DeFi versus you know, CeFi. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be in for a really interesting decade ahead of us, you know, or a couple of decades. I'm just super excited to see how all of this is going to unfold. And hopefully it's within our favor.
Hopefully.
What are you most looking forward to? Like, what's the biggest, when you're working on something on a daily basis? Like, what really gets you going? Is it DeFi? Is it NFTs? Like, is it just the space in general? Like, what is it?
I think it's cool to be a part of something that is developing a whole ecosystem. Not even the products themselves. I mean, the products are cool. I mean, they're super sweet. I was up till 2:00 last night writing Medium articles for all of the various partnerships that were you know, due to announce shortly, and how those are all going to integrate. And I was writing one article which is like, we're getting super deep into just a fucking cool collaboration that, I mean, it is literally like a Frankenstein of DeFi. Like, what we're cooking up is some fucking crazy shit. Like, and it works, and it's so cool, and it unlocks people's dormant capital, you know. And I mean, it's all about increasing capital efficiency, right? Okay. And so, I mean, well, that's cool. And I'm writing these articles trying to explain how all this is going to work to people. And I'm just sitting there thinking, fuck, like, I wouldn't have even imagined that this would be possible 10 years ago. And so what I'm thinking now as I'm writing this shit is, how crazy is stuff going to get in 10 years time once we, you know, really scratch the surface on how we can apply, you know, DeFi as an ecosystem towards real world markets and real world business and things like that. That's what I'm looking forward to, is where this is all going to lead. So I think, yeah, for me, it's cool just to be a part of something, to be sharing ideas and then seeing those ideas become a reality, helping empower people to retain control over their purchasing power, giving people access to alternative means of controlling their personal finance. And as a whole, I guess, you know, just being part of a really cool community of like-minded and supportive people, you know. Fantom as a whole, I think, you know, that's a real unique aspect that we have over other communities like Binance Smart Chain or Ethereum, where everyone's just shitting on each other, everyone's just fighting with one another. We have cultivated a really supportive community here. Everybody knows each other, all the OGs support each other, you know, we all talk and stuff. And while there's competition and healthy competition, there's no bad blood, you know. There's no dirty games. And I think, you know, competition's important. It helps stimulate creativity.
I did want to get into this because, like, you guys in SpiritSwap, like in any other fucking world, like you guys are ultimate competitors. But what it feels like in the Fantom community is that you guys like legitimately cheer each other on.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone has a common goal of really building a robust environment within the Fantom community, within the Fantom ecosystem, within the Fantom space. So, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe not everybody shares, the same opinion. I can't speak for everybody within the ecosystem, all the other OGs out there. But at the end of the day, our common goal is to build a robust environment for Fantom to flourish. And the only way we're going to do that is, establishing a sense of competition and drive to be creative. But also, when someone does well, cheering them on. So, I mean, that's cool. If someone does well in our ecosystem, our whole ecosystem does well. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity for us as a culture here to work in with one another. And what I would ultimately like to see happen at some stage is having projects, not even just speaking about Spirit and Spooky here, but other projects that say would usually be competitors, start focusing on getting creative and collaborating in a sense that we would build products that complement one another. You have to use X platform in order to use then Y platform, which benefits Z platform. You know what I mean? So yeah, but we're just punching through the roof then.
$6,000 just got bought almost instantly.
Bullish. But yeah. I mean, it's I keep saying this, but it's just really interesting times. It's funny because I originally got into Fantom because I was initially in another project. It was one that I bought into quite early.
Damn.
Yep.
It's not meaning to like shill another project or anything like that. I mean, they're kind of different. They're more focusing on the government route. But this was a project called Constellation, which is the ticker's DAG, DAG, which is short for Directed Acyclic Graph, which is essentially what Fantom actually is. Fantom's not technically blockchain. I mean, while it operates on blockchain mechanics, it's actually a directed acyclic graph. And so the core advantage to that over a blockchain is that it operates through a select network of validation nodes, right? And as the network actually gets busier, holy fuck, we're sending it. See you later.
Holy shit.
That's gonna be a big
53. We're at 53 again. Holy hell.
Nice.
I just saw that plummet through about. Holy hell.
DJ, are you still trading or no?
I don't. I mean, purely because I don't have time. I mean, I've got good strategies to sort of manage.
53, 18, 53, 26.
I'm loving the running commentary from Froma here. I love it.
I know, he's loving this, eh? It's funny because this guy's printing money over there. I gave him 300 Fanties the other day just to get him. I've converted him over here.
That's why he's staring at the chart like.
Yeah, because
and he's just fucking. He's printing money over there. He's trading within the Fantom ecosystem.
I turned, and this isn't even all of them.
I gave him 300 Fantom, and he's turned it into 751 already.
Holy Jesus.
Froma be like.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, I did have 206,000 Dogecoin that, but I sold way under.
This guy was just a huge meme coiner. Safemoon, Dogecoin. It's amazing how many people made a fuck ton of money from like.
I know.
Coins,
I didn't get that.
Like that's the crazy thing, right? Like, is people made a bunch of money off these coins, and then you have a protocol over here like Fantom that's doing some fucking wild shit, and we're just waiting for the capital all to flow over here, which we know is coming eventually. You see shit like the ICIB.
I like seeing this amount of volume. I like seeing the volume of buying and selling because when it's a stalemate, when it's a stale coin, it when it's inactive, it either goes way up or way down because there's a transaction every few seconds. This time, this is actually getting that goodness,
Well, it's interesting because if you look at the last bull run, when Bitcoin went from like 15 up to 60, there was a huge like NFT phase right at the beginning of all that. But then NFTs kind of died out because Ethereum gas fees were so fucking insane and basically priced out
Yep.
everybody. But then crypto kind of continued on its run, and as it seems to happen every time, Bitcoin does its run, then the altcoins do its run because Bitcoin's too expensive. It feels like the same fucking thing is happening again, where NFTs have kind of led this new charge. But now you have the aspect of people are able to leave leave Ethereum to jump onto other chains, because like NFT platforms are being built on other chains. Like it feels like you can't miss an NFTs right now, whether it's Solana NFTs, Avalanche NFTs, Fantom NFTs, those fucking Ether or the Phantom rocks that just fucking happened. Like you were selling them for 40x 5 minutes after mint.
Yeah.
5 minutes after mint, it's a 40x. Mooncats, same thing. Like a massive. It doesn't matter what happens to drop on Phantom right now. There's just this like yearning for new shit.
Because people are buying them at a cheap price, and they're willing, like, let's say you have $10,000 to just spend. If they can pick up some of these NFTs for 50 or $100, they're willing to gamble over a wide spread of them where they may lose on some. They're going to definitely earn on the ones that actually came up. It's a gamble. It's a risk, because you don't know. It may be the next Ether rocks that they pick up for maybe $125 and they're selling it for almost $2 million.
Yeah,
it's rolling the dice is what it is. It's rolling the dice.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a safe bet, like my NFT strategy, I usually just buy them because I like them. I like the art. You know what I mean? For me, I got a Phantom Punk because I feel like I'm also quite a sentimental person as well, and I feel like that's like a little chunk of Phantom history that I want to sort of retain. You know what I mean? In terms of other NFTs, like the other ones that I'm collecting, they're all art based. It's all sort of artwork that I like. So I mean, if there isn't any liquidity in trading those NFTs, if the volume isn't there, and if there's no profit to be made off them, at least you're not holding like a bag of pixelated shit. You know what I mean? Like you're actually holding something that you appreciate as artwork. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love some of the pixel art coming out. I think pixel art is a really cool and new and unique sort of form of art. It pays homage a little bit, to some of the old school games that we're all sort of familiar with from, being 90s kids and stuff. So I think pixelated art, definitely has its space here, like how some people, what's funny, because I was talking to my in-laws, and they're traditional artists. They specialize in abstract art. And so, and they're very successful in that space as well. And I was sort of talking to them about this, and I was quite surprised actually, because they had a little bit of a closed mindset towards the pixelated artworks and stuff. And they just sort of couldn't get it. But if you look at pop art when that sort of first came out, and you're comparing that to sort of traditional art like like a Van Gogh or something like that, at the time, I can imagine, a lot of the traditional or conventional sort of art society would pop up and what the fuck is this shit? How do you call that art? And so I think that's where we're at sort of with pixel art at this stage. It's sort of like an emerging theme within the art space. And so, it's going to be cool to sort of see where those sort of take their place in terms of art history in the future,
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was really just thinking that, because you do watch like every decade kind of has its thing, right? Like you can kind of equate a style to a decade. But if you last long enough, that style of a decade comes back.
That's exactly it. Exactly. Yep.
So the concept to pixel art's back in, as this like 90s phase kind of feels like it's back in, because you got the Viper sunglasses, this kind of flamboyant, flashy colors, like that's kind of coming back. Like this 90s feel is kind of coming back, and I think a lot of that's as we become adults in our young adult form, like and we start to get businesses and this and that we have a little bit of power now that like we can display our culture and our nostalgia that we remember. So I do think like it's interesting because there isn't an NFT I've sold yet that is currently selling for less than what I sold it for. There is a bit of the mindset of like it does feel like you can't miss right now, but I don't expect every project to last. But at the same time, I'm super fucking intrigued to see kind of what you insinuated at, like Bored Apes now, or something Ape Gang. It's like a pixelated ape. That art style now. Will that become a thing again 25 years from now? Like, will the cycle last long enough for that to come back? Or 100 years from now, where it's like something that you're literally just holding for your grandchildren, and all of a sudden they're fucking stupid rich because that art style's back, and they've got this fucking
Original,
NFT from the first 10 years.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's a cool concept to kind of play with. I guess I hadn't actually looked at it in that sense, in terms of that art in the future then being revisited, and therefore the originals, from that era are worth a shit ton at that point, and that's why, I mean, my sort of mindset is I'm not really buying these to flip them. I'm buying them because I like them, I see value in them. There's synergy with my sort of preference of art style and what these artists are doing, one thing I wanted to ask you about. So you've got your own gallery, right? You got this like digital fucking gallery that you created with where you.
I saw that.
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
Like, this is cool. Like, I mean, is that an open source thing? Can anybody just like tap in like tech and just
so
their own person?
It's called On Cyber. This is kind of the shit that I wanted to fucking build, but they're developing really fucking quick. So basically it's a cyber gallery that you can, you connect your wallet right to it. There's originally they had placed, artworks in certain galleries. So you pick which style gallery you want. Some of them you have to buy as an NFT itself.
So
you
like,
don't have access to it gallery. Yeah, you don't have access to it for free. But they have partnerships with Bored Apes. So if you're a holder of an ape, you have access to said type of gallery. And then, you just fucking plug and play your art into these spaces that they have. Recently, they've done upgrades where you can actually move the art around and resize the art and rotate and flip the art. But I find that to be a super interesting space because,
You good, Tin?
I think we just lost your audio.
I just
Is
heard...
he there?
Hello?
Is he still talking? I think he's still talking.
Yeah, I got it. We got it now. Are we good?
Here he is. I missed about 30 seconds of that, bro. Sorry, man. You can repeat.
So, what I was saying was like, you get to the point where I've got a fuck ton of money in these JPEGs, and I have no way to display them except for these fucking little art galleries. But then everybody else has the same galleries as me. So like, I'm all about the scarcity of my NFTs, but then everybody else got the same gallery. So I think there's a real concept to like, the idea of one of one galleries.
I mean, it'd be cool if this platform. What did you say they were called again? What was the URL? Whatever.
On Cyber.
On Cyber. I mean, it'd be cool if they added like a open source element or an element that allows people who buy into, I guess, utilizing space within their platform as gallery, the opportunity to design and create their own space, almost like Sims. You know what I mean? Like if it was like a Sims overview of the gallery, and you can sort of move walls around and shit like that, and add sort of like shit. They could monetize the fuck out of that. They could tokenize that.
Yeah.
You buy a token for their platform in order to like then add features to your gallery. Like you want a fucking water feature outside of your gallery as people walk in. That'll be
Right.
10 whatever token they sort of tokenize it with. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's a sick. That'd complement NFTs quite well.
Well, the reason I got into this concept is my dad's an architectural technologist, so like, he's on AutoCAD all day, every day doing drawings,
Yep.
and it's like, I know you're making decent money doing this, but like, realistically, I think you could make a fuck ton of money designing fucking NFT galleries, like these one-of-one galleries.
See, I actually don't live far from Frank Lloyd Wright's house, Falling Water. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a wide-known architectural design. Like, Frank Lloyd Wright built like some of the most amazing architecture. The house is like an hour and 20 minutes away from me. People love architectural. They do.
Right. Yeah, so that'll be the same in the digital space. And even like I actually was a part of a cool little setup. NFT Update, one of the Twitter accounts I follow. He hosts, I guess every couple of weekends, he hosts an NFT gallery. So I guess he's had people build a gallery setup in Decentraland, and it's like a 7-story building that he's built, and each floor gets dedicated to a new artist that he wants to showcase.
Wow!
And then he runs like a 2-hour segment where it's like, okay, come here, check it out. So like I hung out there for like probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour. You get to talk to some artists that are showing off their works, and you're just in the metaverse, fucking shooting the shit, like having a great time looking at all this art. Like this is just the beginning of this stuff.
And how do you access that? Is that over a web or?
Yeah,
it's a website.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, Decentraland is just a browser game that you can play.
Oh shit.
That'll connect right to your wallet, and you got to buy plots of land. So like, that's a big investment thing too. Is like, if I own a plot of land and I build an art gallery, like that's a big thing. Like his shit could be like Sotheby's in 10 years.
Yeah.
Where like
and this is a segue into another aspect, I suppose, of NFTs. And you've got this sort of creation of land ownership within these NFTs, and then metaverses being created out of that land ownership. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can't say too much on this. I had a conversation with you about this the other day, Kyle, so we'll keep that sort of under wraps. But that's something that's sort of going to be evolving in this space as well, whereby you've got these NFTs that are, say, chunks of land, and then the ability to sort of convert those and build a whole metaverse and an ecosystem within that metaverse, an economy within that metaverse around that. Imagine just having like your own city within an NFT that's got its own functioning economy, that's sort of run on a DeFi protocol. You very quickly sort of start to see where this whole thing can lead and how cool it can be. And adding that element of gamification to it. I don't know what the game is. It's on another chain. I think it's Avalanche or something like that. But there's a game, like a DeFi NFT integrated game, whereby they've got these Indonesians at the moment who really love playing this shit. They're making more money playing these games on the blockchain than they would in their usual day jobs and in their home country. That's just so cool. The fact that those people are now empowered to generate a steady income, doing something with relative ease. A lot of the world has access to smartphones and technology now, so they've got the ability to facilitate this prospective earning potential in gamification. And I just, there's just so many layers. There's just so many layers where it's like an inception, you know what I mean, of how this can be applied. So,
well, that's how I first got into NFTs. I think my very first NFT was an Axie. because
I think that's the game. Is that
it's like
is
little fluffy characters that you have to buy 3 of them to form a team, and then you battle other teams, but then you can breed them and create other ones.
Right.
And there's different rarities based on attributes, and like, dude, it's fucking wild. Like, you know, I talked to these guys at work about Zed Run because I've got a decent little stable that I'm building, and the guys at work, like, to be honest, like, get it. Like, they go, yo, I fucking can totally see this, like, at bars. Like, why not have a TV at a bar where I can buy these digital horses and fucking race them while I'm grabbing drinks with my buddies? Like,
that's good.
You know what I mean? Like, this idea of, like, the first fucking horse I bought, I could have bought a real fucking horse for the same price.
Oh shit! How's that going for you? Like, how was that digital horse? I mean, shit. I mean, you know, I'm usually just so. Admittedly, I rely on you to get a lot of my like.
Zed Run's fucked. It's a full-time job. It's a full-time job. You have to. It's like breeding real horses. Like, you have to follow the bloodlines and like track all this shit.
You might as well go out there drunk as a skunk and go put 500 on the blue horse on the track. Yeah.
Well, so
you have a better chance at winning that than finding the motley crew of horses.
So this is how I this is like reasons why I got into NFTs was like, or the gaming aspect was Mint Gox. It's a Bitcoin game, and what they do is they've created it's like Mario Kart, but it hooks up to a Lightning wallet. Like, you hook your Lightning wallet up, and you play Mario Kart. And so when you collect I guess instead of collecting the little boxes, or you still collect the boxes,
you're collecting these tokens.
Yeah, each coin that you collect, like when there's little coins on the thing, like those are Satoshis.
Wow.
And you collect Satoshis, and then you can use those Satoshis to like throw them, or you store them to just stack sats. But then it gets wild where, like, as a viewer of the stream, I can actually scan the QR code, donate Satoshis, and then if 10 of us donate Satoshis, it'll actually cause an act of God event in the game. So, like, all of a sudden, a tornado and a rainstorm come in the game, and it fucks up all the racers in the game.
What?
So now I can, as a viewer of the fucking game, can interact with my fucking wallet in no time, and actually feel like I'm playing a part in the game.
So okay, so that's kind
of as a viewer.
That's kind of similar because on Twitch they have this option for people who do like the simulator and the racing games that if they donate an X amount, it literally just smashes your left or right arrow and it just spins your wheel in game. So if you're racing NASCAR. Bam! You go right into a wall, like.
Well, that's where things are interesting, right? And like, even while they're promoting the stream, the racers, if he's doing his stream, like, he can, if he wins, there's just a little barcode that pops up, and he'll just say like, "Hey, go ahead, fucking try to scan that and take those Satoshis." So all of a sudden, as a viewer, like, now you have a chance to win the fucking prize of the race.
That's so crazy. I love it.
Like, it's just like,
you know what I have. Speaking of like games and sports and betting and whatnot. Okay, so we have FanDuel, we have like BetMGM online now. MGM, the Grand, is doing it. I have not heard of a cryptocurrency platform for sports betting.
So I lost a fuck ton of money on one because I spent way too much money on the Trump election. Lost way too much Bitcoin for that, so you can obviously tell that I'm not happy with how all that went.
I think there's a casino called Wink, and I think they actually take sports bets for the casino. They're integrated with Tron Network, I believe. I've used them a few times, and it was just to fuck around a little bit, and that was pretty cool. I think, I mean, I would really like to see a working sort of bookie, I suppose, or casino layered on Fantom. I think there'd definitely be a space for that. There's a lot of money flowing around in the ecosystem right now. I mean, people are essentially gambling on markets, so why not have a suite?
Did you see that lottery that popped up? So I know some guys have kind of tested it out. There was some lottery that popped up on Fantom.
Block Ball, I think, is it Block Ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're developing a lottery system at the moment, which is cool. Lotteries aren't new to Fantom. I believe Frank had a lottery. Like, they were one of the first to do it, Frankenstein. I don't know what's happened with that project. They were like a yield optimizer that sort of first emerged in the early stages.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, Frankenstein. They had really cool UI, but I think I don't know where we were initially in chats with the devs, but I think that kind of has just died off, which is a shame because their UI was actually really cool. Like, out of all of the yield optimizers, I actually quite like their UI the most.
Good. Just so you know, you can tell us to fuck off at any point in time. We're almost 2 hours in. I know you're busy.
Yeah, man. No, it's really, like I said to you, I scheduled like a good 2-hour block off for us to have this conversation, and I'm enjoying it, man. So it's fine.
Yeah,
honestly.
awesome.
I got a ton of work to get onto, so I'll push on a little bit later on. But for now, I'm good, bro. Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm just chilling. Sunday morning over here, drinking my coffee, having some yarns.
Yeah. Did you check out? What do you think of Infinite Chalkboard? Did you check that out yet? Did you get a message on there?
No. Say that again.
Okay. Infinite Chalkboard. So.
Infinite Chalkboard. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, what somebody did. Let me see. Let me bring it up. Infinite.
Okay.
I don't know where it went.
Infinite energy, infinite whiteboard. You're gonna have to drop me a link.
I can't even fucking. Well, I thought it was infinitechalkboard.com, but that's not working. Maybe they rugged.
What is it? Explain the concept.
So it's really just a fucking chalkboard that when I first did it, this was like maybe a week ago, it cost me 20 Fantom to just write a message on the chalkboard. And that stays until the next person pays it's like it's 109%. So
there's like a
however it works out
of how much you have to pay. Yeah, okay.
So the person that wrote the message before gets paid out like their Fantom
all over this thing, you know what I mean? That's
plus the 9%. Dude, I checked it, I did it. Fuck, this was like early this week. I paid 22 Fantom. The next time I went and checked the chalkboard, it was at 4,400 Fantom.
Get fucked. No way.
Yeah. And like, it's just hilarious going through, like, because you can see all the old messages. Fucking hilarious to go through all the old messages.
That is classic. I love it.
It's shit like that, right? Like,
yeah.
We're so fucking new to this technology.
How do you find this shit? Like, seriously.
Dude, Twitter's fucked. Twitter's fucked.
That's the thing with me is I'm just like nose to the grindstone with the team at the moment. You know, building cool shit for everybody. We've got so much coming out, and for me, it's really hard to stay up to play with what's going on outside of who we're partnering with and things like that. You know, we're always looking for opportunities to integrate and partner with people. So, I mean, part of my job is exploring new projects, but it just seems like the space is just developing and evolving so quickly. It's so hard to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on. You know, it's just expanding so rapidly. And I mean, that's where influencers like yourself and Twitter as a platform is sort of like a keystone to the development of blockchain-based protocols, because it's the facilitation of passing around that information and gaining exposure to that information that's so important. And I mean, that's I'm not gonna lie, I get a lot of my ideas from you. Just seeing new projects that you're sort of pushing out there and things like that in terms of the NFT space. So I mean, it's it's hard to keep up. It's so hard to keep up.
Like, this is what I mean. Like, I if you're trying to keep up in DeFi, this is why I respect the fuck out of you. Because if you're trying to keep up in DeFi, it's like I feel like with a job I can't keep up in NFTs enough.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, totally.
So never mind the idea of running a job, trying to focus on DeFi and NFTs. Like, the space is developing so fast. This is what scares me about regulators, right? Is that I really don't want to see them kill this, because yes, there's gonna be some shitty fucking things happen. There's gonna be exploits. There's gonna be fucking rug pulls. There's gonna be shit like that. But there's some crazy cool fucking things being built at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want to see that fucking stopped because we're trying to protect a few people that, you know, didn't do enough fucking research.
Exactly, make bad decisions and don't research enough. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, when you're entering into DeFi, when you're entering into anything that's relatively new, you've got to do that with an element of risk and understanding the element of risk. You know, being able to read code and review contracts gives you some form of protection around that, but not everyone can do that, right? So then you're reliant on audits and audits to sort of validate projects. But I mean, we've seen projects with audits that have been exploited. You know, I'm not going to go sort of dragging up old news and things like that, but you know, there's been a few high-profile exploits happen over the last sort of 30 days, and I mean that's just part and parcel of the environment that we're in. And you know, I think people should always try to understand the risks of what they're getting involved with before they go overcapitalize and put some heavy-weighted capital towards this. You know. So again, I guess imploring people, read, don't just ape into something because someone's sort of shilled it on Twitter or something like that. Like, read fucking everything. If you see it mooning, you know, I mean, that's never a good time to buy into something anyway at the top. You know, you should always try and reduce your dollar cost average. So take that time while it's mooning and knowing that there will be a retrace at some point. You know, with every pump, there's always a retrace. It's how a market works. People take profits. So use that time while it's pumping to actually research the project and see if that's something you actually want to get into or you know, or not. Understand the metrics and functions behind the underlying technology first. If you don't understand something, jump into their community management groups, like the Discords and Telegrams, and ask the moderators, ask the admins. That's kind of what they're there to do. You know, help answer those questions and help you understand the technology better. You know, if there's any review videos on that technology or on those protocols available, take time to research those. I mean, this is the complete opposite of what my name sort of entails. But I mean, you know, you can still be a DYOR DJ. I think it's just, you know, it's about being smart. You know, working smarter, not harder. Yeah, so I think, you know, as a part of that approach, research is just so important. And at the end of the day, the more you research, the more you read, you actually open up your vision. You open up the ability to think and understand how practically things can be applied towards other things. So yeah, I guess I just can't stress that point enough, is read the fucking articles before you buy into it. Understand how it works before you use it, because if you don't, there's a good chance you get wrecked. Ramen noodles for weeks.
Well, and it's crazy, right? Because like when you do the research in DeFi, and you know, my very first thing is always like, okay, how are we fucking printing money here? So, and you have to get an understanding of that. That's why it was really nice to have you explain, you know, in spirit and all that stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Because as soon as you understand that, you're like, oh, I'm literally just becoming my own bank. Because that's basically what the bank is doing. They're just doing it in their closed loop system, where they see all the gains and you get paid out your guaranteed 0.5%. So it's funny because the guys at work like completely get it when I talk to them about this stuff. They're like, you literally need to go, like, you basically have to go get a fucking degree to understand this shit. Like, to a lot of people, it feels like it's I feel like I'm getting a fucking banker's education by doing this shit on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
yeah,
it's insane to learn how you can make money work. And like you said, it's all about, you basically just don't want sitting money. As long as that money's moving around and doing things, like, money is being made. Now, there is an aspect to it that I'm like, I still don't get. Like, I'm still lost at all. Like, part of me is worried in the proof of stake system that, like, we're just we're printing until there's not enough people coming into the system. But there's still so much money to come into the system. Like, if the crypto market cap is $1 trillion right now, like, there's still another 899 of them floating around that are in some bullshit markets. You know.
Absolutely, and I think a key point to sort of touch on in that concern is the fact that a system shouldn't rely on new money coming in at all. There needs to be some form of self-stimulation implemented within the process, and that's exactly what DeFi does. It is its own ecosystem that almost has like an infinity effect to it. You know what I mean? That system within itself is propping up the overarching protocol and stimulating that economy to ensure that there is longevity within that economy. And so, in essence, having elements like DeFi come into play, like the NFT markets come into play, those are all stimulating environments that help continue to build a robust economy within that protocol itself, within that consensus itself. So that way there's less reliance on new money coming into the system, into the protocol. I mean, well, that's good. And I mean, that helps further bolster and stimulate and build some robustness to the capital and liquidity within that system. It shouldn't be relied on. And so that's why building things within the DeFi space, opening up new positions within the market, opening up new development techniques within the market is important, because in doing so, you're only going to be building a, like I said, more robust environment for that protocol, for that economy to have an element of longevity added to it, you know?
Yeah. And this is something I want, like, you know, we kind of talked in our previous conversation kind of about this, but like to me, like, you're building something incredible over there. Like, it's a banking system. It's now we're talking about like you got NFTs and stuff being integrated. I did want to ask earlier about if there's potential that you want to compete with Arteon or Arshin a little bit with your own marketplace.
I kind of see us now working in with Arshin. I mean, we don't want to take a Zoo approach. I mean, Zoo sort of was the first DEX / NFT platform to come onto Fantom. I think Zoo will live and still have its place, because there's the ability to actually port any Zoo works over to Arshin, and Zoo sort of has its own subcategory within Arshin.
Okay, that's cool. I
Which I think is good, because it's not. It means that, and I think Fantom Foundation kind of got this as well. It means they're not going to squash like an original project out of the market.
Yep.
Squeeze them out. And this is where I'm sort of reverting back to here and sort of saying it's what I would really like to see happen is even though projects may build products that overlap or potentially compete with one another, it would be good to see people allowing for some kind of collaborative integration to work, whereby one platform, even though it's a competitor, actually complements the other and vice versa. And so that's kind of what Arshin's doing at the moment.
Right.
So Zoo won't actually be locked out of the marketplace. The economy that they've sort of created won't sort of crash and burn, because there's that integration within the new platform. So I think it was actually, hats off to the Fantom team for having that foresight to see that and sort of create a working, with Zoo in that respect. In terms of SpiritSwap getting into the NFT market spaces, that's not like a focus of ours at the moment. Our main focus will always be DeFi and being involved in that space and building on that space. But I mean, there will be elements of where we do, like I said, integrate some of those DeFi protocols within the NFT market space. I mean, it kind of only makes sense to.
Well, even along that complementary idea, the idea that you guys are being a launch pad for artists.
Absolutely. So having like an incubation space for artists and just having a hub there for them to be able to chat with one another, bounce ideas off each other, ask for resources. If there's an artist who's really struggling with like Solidity work or something like that, and then there's another artist on there who's got some Solidity experience, it's providing that environment to incubate and ensure that people have the access to the resources or information they need to be able to build on Fantom, which is ultimately our goal. We're not even trying to capitalize off this at the moment. It's more just making sure that we're doing our part and helping Fantom become a supportive and robust ecosystem. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you guys built some crazy shit. Like I said, I feel like I can't keep up in the DeFi space if with the amount of shit that I'm trying to
I get it.
In the NFT space.
I can't keep up, cross chain as a whole. I'm pretty on board with everything that's happening in Fantom at the moment. It's kind of like our job here. But in terms of what's happening over on Binance Smart Chain and Sol and Ether and all of that, in terms of the DeFi space, I'm just, even as someone who tries to stay on top of this shit as much as possible, it's hard, man. Like there's just so much happening, so much evolving, and I guess that's why I'm so bullish on things. Is things are now starting to develop at such a rapid pace, even if it's not on the Fantom ecosystem, even if it's on other chains as a whole. The rate at which development is happening, gives me a good amount of confidence that hopefully there'll be some stability and longevity here for people moving forward. Yeah.
Now, is there any I'm sure that you also see like the kind of the multi-chain world going forward. Is there any thoughts already about some kind of collaboration, integration with maybe other dexes or I don't really know, but some other kind of dApps that are on other platforms like a Solana? Maybe not.
Yeah,
Solana's kind of tough because it's not EVM compatible, but
Yep. So we are in the process of doing that. This isn't really a secret. I think our sort of inaugural voyage in terms of going down that route, we recently just airdropped a whole bunch of Buds tokens to people as a part of our Spirit of the Month initiative. I'm pretty sure it was the Spirit of the Month initiative. So Buds are a token for a NFT game on a platform called Hive. I'm not sure if you've heard of Hive.
Yep.
And so they actually did so they're actually going to be, obviously adding liquidity to SpiritSwap as well as a part of this, collaborative partnership. But essentially, they have bridged. So we facilitated a bridge, helped them facilitate a bridge to bridge their token from Hive to Fantom. So you've got that cross-chain interoperability there happening. So they're then able to provide liquidity on our exchange. And essentially where it's beneficial is we get liquidity brought over from other chains, but also, in terms of the advantage for Hash Kings, which is, the game that this Buds token sort of runs on. You're essentially like planting your own cannabis seeds and growing your own cannabis crops, and then you get NFTs minted as a result. And again, it's sort of like a yield-bearing reward NFT gamify system. And so it all orientates around these Buds tokens. And so you burn Buds to sort of level up your character. You burn Buds to get the seeds out of them and then plant more crops. So essentially where this is beneficial is, in terms of them bridging their token cross-chain from Hive to Fantom and then adding liquidity on our exchange and doing an airdrop to our users, they're really opening themselves up to a new market as well, which is Fantom users, And I'm hoping, while the game runs on Hive at the moment, I'm hoping that there will be some integration with Fantom moving forward, so that liquidity, that Bud liquidity that's generated on Fantom can sort of stay in the Fantom ecosystem. But I guess, these are the early stages in terms of stepping stones of taking that cross-chain interoperability and making it work. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm so fucking bullish on the space. When you see Atari building casinos in Decentraland, and they're part some kind of deal with Fantom, clearly, with them providing some liquidity on some of the dexes. And, I looked into them, and they're looking at building fucking hotels in all the biggest party cities around the world. and integrating the kind of AR, VR, digital aspect into these hotels. They partner with Zedrun, so clearly there's a gambling aspect that they want to integrate into these hotels. And then you see videos where you got the Atari logo, the Fantom logo, and the ICB, which is, you know, one of Saudi Arabia's biggest banks, all displayed on the fucking world's largest building, the Burj Khalifa. You're like, there's some fucking shit going on here, folks. Like, what's the pitch to like to these developers or artists? You know, a little 2-minute pitch on like why Fantom, like why. Like, to me, artists right now, there's so much about like, oh, I gotta get it on ETH, I gotta get it on OpenSea. To me, I know my little pitches to Fantom, but like, what for you? Like, what's your little, like?
My pitch focuses on three main things: true decentralization. So in the sense that our validator nodes, and again with further, Fantom is further working towards further decentralization of the validator nodes, but our validator nodes in comparison to something like Binance Smart Chain, are completely decentralized. The throughput that Fantom offers, number two, and in terms of the throughput, the scalability that a cyclic graph has to offer in comparison to standard blockchain. So as the network gets busier, it actually gets quicker. It's kind of like the opposite to how Ethereum runs. And the third point being that, we're relatively quite a low market cap in comparison with what other chains and the amount of total value locked that these other chains have. So, there's three advantages there. And so to sort of touch on those advantages, decentralized equals more secure, and I guess, a more desirable ecosystem to be involved in. The fact that there's throughput and scalability shows that the network's not going to break down and end up being a clunky piece of shit that you're building on and now you're stuck on because, the network doesn't work. So, that's not really a case I can see happening on Fantom as a whole. And C, the fact that, again, like I said, relatively low market cap in comparison with other chains that, and again, comparing the TVL across those chains in Fantom, only adds opportunity for these people who adopt Fantom early to profit in the future. So that would be my little sort of pitch there, I guess.
Yeah, it feels like fucking we are super early. Like, it's cool. I mean, I look at the crypto space, it does feel tribal, right? Like everybody's kind of got their chains that they like, and that they put most of their liquidity on. It has been fun to like kind of try to explore the other chains, just to try them out. Like Zed runs on Matic and Axie is on Ronin. Got to fuck around with NFTs on Solana and AVAX a little bit, and it honestly feels like the user experience is the best on Fantom.
I would agree, and I think it's due to the fact that, and I mean, all the other chains are EVM compatible. I mean, that's important because EVM compatibility means that there's familiarity. People are really generally sort of starting the journey off on Ether and then sort of moving into these other chains. So I think the fact that there is EVM compatibility definitely makes it easier for people to adopt. I just feel like people are so fixated on these other chains at the moment. Like you said, once people become familiar with something, they tend to sort of stick to it, you know what I mean? But for me, it's just about building more exposure for Fantom. And I think that will naturally happen sort of organically as more and more people develop on Fantom. That'll gain more exposure, will attract more developers, and therefore the ecosystem will be stimulated, and we will attract more users as a result, I think, if a Fantom ends up getting listed on Coinbase, which I'm like, I'm super, super excited about if that does happen. I mean, that will then just open up a whole new paradigm of exposure and new eyeballs on Fantom as a chain and Fantom as an ecosystem. Yeah. I just need to go to the toilet real quick. Sorry, man. I'll be.
This is a great timing. Let us both take a break here for a second. I gotta grab another drink.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
And we are back.
Are you gonna brewski there, brother? What are you having?
I'm having a neutral, some fucking vodka soda.
Oh, your vodka
No
sodas? No, they're so
sugar.
good. They're so good for summer, man. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Listen, like,
you work in construction, and like it's
well, exactly,
like,
right?
at the end of the day, and you're fucking hot as shit, and then you crack one of those bad boys. They're pretty refreshing.
Yeah, I swear to God, they're fucking with the weather right now because it's been brutally hot
Has
here
it?
right now.
Has
We've
it?
had
Yeah.
a
What are you?
crazy fucking heat wave. Yeah, so it's been like fucking Thursday there. I think it was like 42 degrees Celsius,
Holy
plus
shit.
the humidex. Oh yeah, you know Celsius because you're fucking not American.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's fucking crazy. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so for us, that's not like it's not that normal. We've had like a week straight of it.
Fuck, that is nuts.
Just the fucking humidity is insane.
Dude, that's like Dubai spec. You know what I mean? Like, holy fuck.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think they're fucking with the weather.
One other thing, I guess, another topic point I had, which is sort of, interesting. I mean, I was just sort of thinking about how we were talking, or touching on the topic of Fantom's throughput and, the speed that the network actually has to offer. And this is sort of like an interesting topic that I've been keen to pick your brains about. Bot sniping drops for NFTs. So, I mean, because Fantom is so... I mean, we saw Fantom Rocks, right?
Yeah.
And that shit was like insta. As soon as it went fucking live, it was gone. And so, I mean, while this sort of, this kind of like bullish... this bullish sentiment is cool and it's good to stimulate things, people are just grabbing these things. I mean, one key issue I see, it's like a double-edged sword. While Fantom is super quick and super cheap, that then also opens up a whole new realm of possibility for people to take advantage. As there's heaps of shitty humans out there, so people will always capitalize on. I don't even want to call it a flaw. It's more of like a loophole. You know what I mean? It's not a flaw. It's a loophole. Whereby, I mean, dude, it's so easy to like code a bot that watches smart contracts, and as soon as that smart contract deploys, it front runs all of the humans that are sort of waiting on front-end UI. Because, front-end UI has some delay. When you click mint now, you've got the MetaMask transaction that pops up. You've then got to complete that MetaMask transaction. Whereas if you've got bots running in the back end watching these smart contracts, and as soon as that smart contract goes live, the bot is circumventing all of the UI that goes towards the human interaction of the process. You know what I mean? So straight away, that bot's gone, bang, execute smart contract, buy 5 of those. And I mean, if you got some dude that set up like 10 bots with these wallets, essentially they're, in theory, they're able to sort of scoop up 50% of that drop right there and then they retain 50% of the resale market. And then, that market can then be controlled. So I think it's going to be interesting to explore some circumvention models, and I'd implore artists to do that to ensure that there are more fairer ways of deploying the NFTs into the space. So, there's a few concepts I had in mind about this, but I guess I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this as well, and whether you see that being an issue, surrounding NFTs on Fantom.
Well, it is a great fucking conversation because there is a couple projects already that I haven't been able to mint because they went so fast, and I'm sure there's a couple bots all mixed into that. But yeah, it is a double-edged sword because it goes both ways. Like to me, I mean, I'm at the point now where I do like the idea of 1 mint per transaction.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't want to dictate that to an artist. Like, I seen this conversation happening on Twitter actually with one of the Phantom punks. It was the last Shiba Phantom punk collaboration.
Okay.
Like there was somebody bitching about it being, too expensive on mint, like on Zoo. And it was like, well, I mean, we can't dictate the price to the artist. Like somebody's willing to pay that price.
No,
like I was willing to pay that price for it. Obviously somebody else was willing to pay that price for it because it sold. But then, there's a couple of these people going like, well, I'm not even looking forward to future mints. And I mean, part of me goes like, well, I guess I kind of get that because there is a bit of a whale thing with Fantom. And that's just like, that's shown in the analytics of wallet holders. I don't know if those whales are into NFTs yet on Fantom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a super debatable conversation to have. But I mean, there are. To me, it's like I don't have the problem with NFT whales because this is about supporting the artist. Like, if you're getting in this for investments and you're not doing your own research, okay, that's your problem.
Yeah.
I don't really have a problem with NFT whales because, like, to me, like, you see Pranksy all the time. He'll mint fucking 100 of it, whatever project it is. He'll mint 100 of it. But all of a sudden, that guy's putting a lot of fucking capital into that. So that guy has a lot of vested interest now. And when a guy with a big following and a lot of vested interest on a project, like, realistically, if you have one of those pieces, it should do well because he'll be promoting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting because, like, I mean, it's not like I'm a fucking some crazy rich dude that's just able to buy Fantom every week and able to buy these NFTs. Like, I'm fucking slaving at a 9-to-5 job. So, like, there's NFTs that I'm priced out of.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not gonna. I don't want to dictate what artists should be pricing their stuff at.
No, absolutely not. I'm in agreement with you there. I think a good, circumvention model to this and having fair price for the artist and fair opportunity for the community to actually get involved. And I don't even think it's a price thing because, like you said, there will always be people who are willing to pay top dollar for NFTs that they're really passionate about or they have a vested interest in, etc. So I think, an interesting idea to explore could be sort of like a Dutch auction sort of style system, whereby rather than people just frantically bidding on something until the NFT artist decides, okay, the reserve's been met, an interesting approach could be offering these up in like a Dutch/silent auction system, whereby, the artist almost has added benefit here in the sense that if your project's legitimately good and you've got enough hype around that project and people are really, really keen to get involved in that project, people are going to be willing to pay top dollar for that. So rather than actually cutting yourself short and going, cool, I'm going to set my floor mint price at like 500 Fantom or 100 Fantom or whatever, put them out there for sale and have people almost dictate or value the market for you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm prepared to pay 600 Fantom for this. Cool, you just made 100 extra Fantom than what you would have originally done by listing them at a standard mint price, And you may have someone come in and sort of overlap that person and go, well, fuck this, I'm prepared to pay 1,200 Fantom for this, you know what I mean? And so that way,
it circumvents, and this is just an idea, it's just an idea, it's just a topic worth discussing, but it circumvents the whole bot sniping drop model, whereby you can't have bots come in and snipe a Dutch auction or silent auction, because nobody knows what's actually being offered,
Right.
And then secondary, it's actually opening up the artist to not have to self-value the project, but allow the community to actually value
You're
it for you, depending on how bullish they are on it. And so I think it's actually opening up artists the opportunity to actually capture more capital than they potentially could through just a standard sort of list and mint price, So I don't know. Interesting.
I do like that concept because it is something that it's not like, because there is, I don't like auctions. I mean, I like auctions. I don't like them all the time because obviously you can have somebody, you just have ETH whales, right? That just, sure, I'll buy this for, it reached this price. Okay, it's like a good investment now. Sure, I'll buy it. So I do like your like silent auction method where like nobody knows what. It's just like, yo, I value this art at this price right now.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm willing to pay. If somebody happened to be willing to pay 10 times more than that, then fuck, there you go. Like now the artists, like you said, didn't have to value themselves at that price, but just got fucking paid.
Yeah. I mean, even taking a combination of doing like a, full fucking degenerate land grab mint and open the market up, you know what I mean, and everything set up within a second, and then have a secondary market whereby there's a second series of mints done, but then that's done on a Dutch auction sort of based system, you know what I mean?
So now is there a problem with, I'm just thinking about it, like could I code a bot to snipe to just put in 1,000 bids, like literally just incrementally going up in price
on the Dutch auction?
On the Dutch auction.
I mean, in theory, yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, the only thing that's doing is
raising the value.
It is, exactly. It's raising the value of the artworks. And I think it would be, I mean, the whole point behind bot sniping, right, is to get these at floor super cheap and game the system by getting as many as you can. Whereas if someone coded a bot to kind of try and fuck with a Dutch auction like that, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, they're going to benefit from it because they're pushing the floor price up. But I mean, it kind of negates the whole reason for having a bot sniping a drop in the first place, which is to get them super cheap. That's why they do it.
Right.
You want to get 50% of the market share super cheap, so then you've got control over that resale value and that resale market. Whereas if you were to do that in a Dutch auction style system, you wouldn't have that advantage of getting in super cheap and being able to profit at a later stage, because if you do that, in theory, you'll just be pushing up the floor price and adding additional value to that artist's work.
No, because I'm just thinking, because like, I guess it's all about like the initial Dutch auction, like to set the market price on your future Dutch auctions. Like there's no reference point. So like for me, I'm just thinking about like what fucking bid would I put in on the Hash Freaks Umans Dutch auction?
There you go. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I mean,
like,
that's you want that, so you're going to put a high bid in, and you're going to,
right. Like,
that. So the only, it's beneficial from two perspectives. A, you're automatically creating a floor. You're not going to sell that below floor because A, you like the work, so someone's going to have to really come in and pay some big dick money to be able to take that NFT off you because you love the work. Okay, and B, it gives the Umans and the Hash Freaks artists, I guess, return, because their artwork, people are paying for their artwork what they are prepared to pay for it. Like people are setting the market themselves. And I mean, if you end up paying top dollar for it, who gives a fuck? Because you're happy. That's what you were prepared to pay in the first place for it. So congratulations, you win because you get the art piece and you're happy with that artwork, and the artist wins because they earn top dollar in comparison to what they may have, they may earn 2, 3, 4x compared to what they were originally prepared to mint and list them for. So, and I mean, that's what this whole thing is about at the end of the day as well. It's about empowering individuals to have more control over things, if say in the traditional market, I can't say I really have much experience with traditional art auctions and art houses and things like that. But to my understanding is, from speaking with my in-laws, there is so much centralization and control that these art houses have and these galleries have these artists, which just isn't cool. Same with the music industry. I mean, fuck, what was it? You look at, I mean, it's still bad nowadays, but I mean, you look at what Jimi Hendrix, that poor bastard, he got locked into a record contract for fuck, I don't know how long. He had to make like 10 albums or something like that before he could be released. And that poor motherfucker was making like, I think it was like less than 1% on what the revenue was that his albums generated. The record company just fucking rug pulled it, you know what I mean? I think, you know, you look at the lyrics of All Along the Watchtower, and that's what he's kind of alluding to here, is these sort of overarching dominant powers taking control of the little guy and their artwork and their ability to be creative, you know? So yeah, I mean, this is where the space has an added advantage of giving these individuals more power and control over their artwork, their creativity, and how they go about deploying that. You know, I think having options is great. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a huge thing. Like, this is where we're in the very beginning of this fucking NFT phase. Like, I was talking with a guy at work. We were talking about, you know, for music, the whole music NFT aspect. Like, what if you got a guy like Snoop Dogg or something like that to create an Ethereum wallet, put a bunch of ETH in it, take those words that are the seed phrase to that wallet, and put that, like, code that into a song, sell 10,000 versions of, like, 10,000 mints of that song, and it gives each person, like, each buyer of that song, the ability to have the opportunity to unlock, like, to try to decode the lyrics, to unlock the wallet and transfer the ETH funds to their wallet.
I love that. That's cool. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like the aspect of, like, yeah, it's free marketing because, you know, you're trying to get, people are trying to decode this shit. So, like, there's a huge prize at the end of it. So you're trying to get it. And obviously you do the math that, like, you know, you make enough money off the primary sale that covers whatever you want plus however much you put on the ETH wallet.
Yeah, so it's almost like a reward-bearing NFT, but with a product that you get from purchasing it as well. You know, that's
right. Yeah,
cool. Exactly. And see, this is what I mean. We're only just really scratching the surface on how NFTs can be applied towards, you know, real world art, real world business. You know, imagine like if a company like McDonald's got into NFTs and they had some kind of reward-bearing NFTs. You know, every time you fucking buy a sandwich from McDonald's or whatever, and, you know, you had your smartphone and blip, you know, you got this NFT, and then you know, there was like a reward bearing mechanism built into that NFT. You know, I mean, that's people are sort of doing. I mean, you know, big business does this, except sort of on a analog level, I suppose. At this place, you get those like little scratch cards or those little Monopoly cards from McDonald's and stuff. But I mean, applying that to an NFT would just be so cool, and then stimulating a blockchain ecosystem and doing so. Yeah, again, you know, it's like adding this whole marketing element that you were talking about before into the NFT ecosystem and process. And there's just so much opportunity and options to sort of apply this at a mass scale.
Well, even where, like, fractionalizing is going, like,
dude,
you know.
exactly, fraction, like owning a portion or a share in an NFT. That's cool.
Yeah, like, as an ecosystem, I was even thinking about this, like, you know, as a little NFT ecosystem on Fantom, like, I was like, you know, what if we fucking, should we pool some money together to buy punk, just to have a punk, and then we could, like, fractionalize it out to each of us in the community, because when Visa buys their punk for 50 ETH, and within a week the floor is now 120 ETH, it might be beneficial to all of us to you know, have a punk and have it fractionalized out on this chain. And then there's the aspect to, like, okay, also the Fantom community owns a crypto punk. Like, there's the bit of marketing to, like, what Visa's doing, right?
Yeah.
The idea of, like, like I'm sure they had the aspect of like I'm buying this CryptoPunk as an asset, but I think a lot of it was like I'm buying this to buy into a crazy ass community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's just so interesting to see, especially a company like Visa buy into that, though. You know, like I mean, it's what are they, what statement are they making in doing so? You know, it's
Well, that's just it, right?
Yeah.
Like to me, it gets interesting because like that pushes, like to me right away, it's like, okay, well, MasterCard, what the fuck are you doing? Because
Yeah.
if you're talking about like the only way for these, again, you know, the idea that I tell you about, you know, how you're gonna destroy the banking system, like the products that are being built in DeFi and stuff, literally make these companies like Visa and MasterCard obsolete. So they're gonna have to do this shit to try to survive, because the only way I see banks kind of like surviving in the future is like basically the custody aspect. The like, oh, I know you're really scared about losing your keys to your wallet, so like we'll custody your stuff,
Yeah.
and then you'll still have people that want to earn interest on their fucking Bitcoin and all this stuff that don't want to do the DeFi stuff and would rather pay somebody to do their DeFi work for them.
Yeah.
Like we're already reaching that point where, you know, I'm seeing people, you know, we want Zed-run stable hedge funds basically, where it's like I'd rather pay, I need to pay a team of people to just breed my fucking horses and sell my horses and buy floor horses if they pop up. Like
here you go. Like in saying that, you're opening up a whole new element of stimulation within the ecosystem. You know what I mean? Like having someone manage these sort of really obscure DeFi and NFT related tasks for you, but in doing so, I mean, while that sounds crazy now, I mean, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if that's something that happens ultimately in the future, in the near future. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I mean, people do it with traditional banking sense, where you obviously pay a hedge fund manager to look after your capital for you. Why couldn't you do that with your you know, reward bearing or gamified NFTs or you know, your capital DeFi as a whole? I mean, I think you know, there are a lot of sort of internally built mechanisms at play that ultimately offer users that sort of hands-off experience to management of their capital in DeFi. You've got these yield optimization vaults, you know, like RoboVault, like Grim, like Reaper, like Millennial Finance, that sort of auto compound and stack, you know, your liquidity pool tokens for you. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see there being a space for having entities or people or organizations managing these various aspects of this whole ecosystem for you. That's really interesting. Yeah.
like that's what I mean. Like this is where, like, I really think that this is the cure to the aspect of, you know, a lot of jobs are going to get automated.
Yeah.
You know, most of your office jobs could already be automated. You know, there's a lot of people that are going to be out of work and need to make money in some form, and we haven't created new job forms yet. But clearly there's an industry that is in huge demand of many different kinds of jobs, even if it's just content creators, thinkers in the space. I know developers, like, we just can't produce enough of them right now. Like, because you have new blockchains popping up, you have dApps within blockchains popping up, the whole NFT space, like, there's just, I can only imagine how many jobs are in the crypto space right now. Then you have the market analysis people, the whole trading aspect, the bridging fucking real world to digital world aspect, where like these banks have to learn how this stuff works. So like I imagine the transition for them is going to be, yeah, they'll be holding Spirit tokens operating within the Spirit ecosystem at some point. Like, it's a way for banks to make money on with their holdings. So like,
absolutely,
it's all gonna get so fucking, you know, you see Ready Player One and you're like, the first time. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, that's kind
We're
of
not all that fucking far off.
No, we're not. No, I agree. We're definitely not. And I mean, in saying that, and I'll have to leave soon. I'm sorry, Kyle, man.
Absolutely. We're fucking almost 3 hours into this.
And I've loved it. Don't get me wrong. Troma's a good dude. It was nice to meet him. I don't know where he's had to get off to, but I love him. He's a great co-host, man. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
I like you two working together, bro. But yeah, sort of touching back on, I guess, and a good conclusion is, looking at this whole Ready Player One aspect is ultimately making sure that there is a good balance as well, and not actually getting too sucked into things. It's very easy to get sucked into this whole realm of DeFi and crypto and NFTs and all that, because it kind of does have to become your life a little bit. But it's really important as well to remember that there is real world out there. Like there is, you've got your family, your kids, your wife, whatever. And so I think ultimately it is about making sure that you set up a strategy to manage working in with crypto and working in with managing your capital or managing your NFT collection, but also making sure for your mental health, that you are getting out there and breathing and not ostracizing yourself from your friends and your family and things like that. So, along with, so I guess my key points would be do your own research before you fucking ape into any project or any token. Make sure that there's utility there. Make sure that you understand the mechanics properly. Make sure that if it's a piece of art, that's a piece of art that you're happy holding if the floor doesn't go up or if the floor goes down. And secondly, making sure that you retain ties with, your real world sort of environment and family and friends as well. So, DJ's tip for the day.
Dude, you're a fucking legend. What you're building over there is incredible.
I mean, shit, man. I gotta say, man, like I'm a very, very small cog in that machine. Like full credit to Rob and Ish and Sid and Z14. All of the core crew there.
How big is the team over there? I meant to ask that earlier. How big are you guys over there?
Growing at such a phenomenal rate. Like I just can't even keep up. So we've got key developers. I'd say about 15 spread between front end, back end, UI, Solidity, all of that. We've got contract developers that we can tap into at any time as well if we sort of find ourselves too busy. You got the core team, legal team, and our mods and stuff. At a real quick count, I'd say we're sitting at around about 20 to 30 people working full-time or part-time on the project at the moment. The rate of development is happening.
And that's within a fucking, a year? Within a year?
Not even a year. No. I mean, shit, what are we, mate? June, July, August, October. Yeah, I mean, shit, we're only like 3-4 months in, you know what I mean? Like, shit, I can't imagine where things are going to be at. Like what Rob and the team have done. I mean, I've just sort of muscled my way in there. I'm not even like a core team member, like I started off in the community at a very early stage and I was helping out heaps there. And then, Rob, I think, messaged me being like, do you want to be a moderator? So I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. I'm real sort of bullish on this project. So yeah, I'd love to. And then continue my work as a mod and then work my way up to admin. And then I sort of developed like an internal community management team, mods and admins, and promoted more admins because the rate of work that we're sort of putting out there is just requiring everybody to sort of muscle in. We have all of our admins and mods constantly reviewing and beta testing for the team as well as community management. They're helping out with articles and things like that. So it's really a collaborative effort at this stage, and I just think the team that we've assembled here and developed is just amazing. It's so cool to be a part of this. So I'm super excited to see where we're at in 12 months' time because I just think it's going to be huge. Once we unleash Soul Credit to the world, which is our V2, that's just, like I said, I was writing articles on this last night and I kind of got the shitters. I sat back and I was just like, this is crazy, like when all of this works, it's like, you'll see, it's something special.
Now at the same time, I have to ask, like, you just know what you're building. and you know how incredible it is there like this like horrendous gut feeling when you hear something like the Poly network hack, where it's like 600 million gone just like that? Like is that something that like really sits on you when you're ready to release something new and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
God damn, there's been some shitty things that have happened. Like,
super good point to touch on. I mean, for me, a lot of that pressure isn't on me directly because my position in the team sort of sits around. I help out with content. I help out with marketing. I help out with so when I say content, I mean writing copy, articles, all of that, facilitating and mucking in with like partnerships and stuff. Organization of the sort of internal flow of communication and things like that. Like if we're teeing up an AMA, then I'll sort of help facilitate that for the team. So like a support based role. So a lot of that pressure doesn't really sit on me. It sits with the tech team and stuff. And I know that that's always at the forefront of where their mindset is at. And that's another reason why, like, we may have hyped in Spirit a little bit too early. We were sort of talking about it from a very early stage as soon as we launched. And people were sort of expecting it to come to market a little bit sooner than it did. But the reason why we didn't deploy so early is because we tested the shit out of that. We stress tested the absolute shit out of that whole system. And I mean, I think we spent more time testing than we did building it. I think that's a key factor in ensuring that you're offering a product that's as secure as possible to your marketplace. I think it would be naive or ignorant to say that any kind of exploit will never happen, could never happen on any chain. I mean, there are circumvention measures you can put in place and systems and processes you can put in place to ensure you're not releasing a product that has a vulnerability to it. Obviously, us having an audit, MixByte's obviously auditing us. They've audited some of the biggest players in the crypto space, So, I mean, having that audit there is a nice line of security, but I think it's always about reviewing code, doing assessment, internal assessment on where we might have flown a bit too close to the sun in the past, and putting systems and processes in place to ensure that never happens. So yeah, it's definitely people's security of the network and security of the ecosystem that we're building is always at the forefront of our mind. And we do our best to make sure that we spend more time testing a product than we do actually building it, to ensure that it's as robust as possible.
Yeah, that's huge, because I mean, this is the one thing that as a conspiracy guy, as TinFoilRealist, is the thing that sits deep inside me, is like, still to this day, I feel like I could call myself a Bitcoin maxi. And the idea of, like, I look at Bitcoin as just this slow, impenetrable tortoise that is just going to keep moving. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun on these other chains and stuff.
Yep.
But there's a real, like, subset of me that, I see that 2030 World Economic video that says by 2030 you're gonna own nothing and be happy. There's a real part of me that goes, I'm fucking following that to a T right now. Like, this idea that I have my entire net worth in JPEGs and happy as can be with it.
I love it. Good mindset.
Yeah, there's part of me that gets a little bit worried about the hacking and even just the proof of stake nature.
I think ultimately that comes back to ensuring that you have a strategy in place to manage your wealth. And I mean, I'm not going to go spouting off how people should do that, but I think everybody, when they get into this place, should research investment strategies. And from that research, develop their own. Don't copy someone else's. Take elements and research.
I know I should diversify. I know.
Well, I mean that's one strategy as well. Or even a de-risking strategy whereby you're taking, making sure that you're taking profits in order to de-risk your positions moving forward. So if you are ever exposed to a vulnerability attack or something like that, you've at least de-risked or even
broke even on your initial investment to ensure that you're minimalizing your exposure to these potential exploits. So like I said, again, having a strategy in place and sticking to that strategy is something people should consider as well. So for me, I found that in the past when I sort of diverge and shift away from my initial strategy, I could either do really well or do really bad. And so I think, with crypto being a very volatile ecosystem as it is, you stand to profit in that respect. By having a conservative investment strategy in place, paired with a volatile marketplace, is kind of what I'm feeling is the best sort of approach towards this.
Right.
So do your research, have a strategy, make sure you're only buying things that you're comfortable holding.
None of this is financial advice, of course.
None of this is financial advice. No, never listen to a bloke with the name DJ in his name.
or TinFoilRealist.
Or realist. Or a bunch of.
Yeah. Dude, I appreciate your fucking time. You gave me 3 hours. Holy fuck, dude.
Anytime for you, man. It's always a pleasure chatting.
It felt like it took 3 weeks to get this time out of you, but Jesus, you gave me 3 hours.
Sorry, man. Busy man.
Crap. No, man, this is fucking awesome. Absolutely awesome. Love what you're doing. I mean, you're gonna keep building. I'm gonna keep trying to build here. The NFT space is super exciting for me.
Absolutely.
I do want to at some point want to set up something with one of your DeFi guys and just like fucking literally do a straight up run through of like, here I have $500. Let's fuck around in SpiritSwap DeFi right now.
Cool.
I do want to do that at some point.
I think that'll be definitely, that's something we can tee up. I know Austin's been working on a few sort of explainer videos. He did an explainer video of Inspirit the other week, and so I mean that could be. I'd love to see you guys tee up and start fucking around with Inspirit a little bit and seeing where that's.
It'd be really cool.
My key takeaway from it for everybody would be just keep an eye on the boosted farms over the next 2 weeks, because that's, once the whole system, we've only just launched, once the whole system is fully charged and operational, up to speed, think of it as like a train sort of building momentum up to that sort of terminal velocity. Once we hit that critical mass, that's when you're going to see the true benefits of what Inspirit have to offer. And I think it's at that point when people see, the kind of returns this has to offer, that the penny's going to drop and people are going to go, oh shit, stumbled upon something cool here. But yeah, anyway, dude, I have to love you and leave you, but thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah, man, you too. This is fucking awesome.
And let's keep the dialogue going.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Take her easy.
Cheers, buddy. See you later.
Take her easy, brother. Oh boy. Is it gonna edit all those videos?
I hear you coughing. You good? You coughing? You good? My God. My friend is fucking on Reese. Oh my God, he's really coughing. Is he okay? Hey, you good, buddy? You good? Oh my God.
What is going on, Kyle Overship here with TinFoilRealist?
That are going to be generated through this Spirit protocol.
But,
and I mean, if you guys think this is cool, then I mean,
never go up. Yeah, it is going to get interesting when it comes to money because it does feel. Trauma Doc kind of shared a thing with me the other day about the UK.